soon as we start talking, it's going to pop up because of that delay.
Okay. Hello, everyone. It's the Friday 3D Community Hangout. I'm hosting this time. Let's see. Okay. Anyway, I'm down here in the corner, and I guess we'll start with introductions. I will start from me this way. So I'm Mitch 3D. This is my YouTube channel, Mitch 3D, and I'm the Mitch 22 on Twitter and Instagram and everything else. I'm also pretty active on the 3D printing Facebook group, and I haven't uploaded a video in a while, but I will probably have a couple videos about some projects that I'm working on in the near future. So,
what's the topic, Mitch?
Oh, the topic, yes. This topic is going to be making money with 3D printing, which I don't think we've discussed yet. So this will be an interesting topic, especially from this group. So,
hey, Mitch,
Richard,
I think the camera might be locked on me, so you might want to click on me again just to unlock
Got
it.
Cool. I'm learning. Okay, here we go. Yay.
It's
anyway, so now you see me. Now you don't. So, Richard, if you're...
Okay, I'm Richard. My channel is the Zidim channel, and also Zidim.com's website leads you to all the stuff I do. My focus is actually on 3D printing for model trains. I just finished streaming a build of finished building a Maya printer, and just minutes ago, hot off the press, got my first Maya print. This is the test spring, it comes from it. So I'm learning the world of SLA printing.
Okay, I think Marteinn.
Yeah, my name is Marteinn, and I have a channel called 3D Iceland, or 3D Printing Iceland. I've been doing 3D printing for a few months, and I've been doing a lot of 3D printed landscape that I've been printing out and painting. And I've actually been giving out the paintings and the prints out to several channels. And as I paint them, I try to exchange stickers with the community members this way. So that's me.
Okay, we got Joe Mike, who's working on printers right now.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Joe Mike Terranella. I have a 3D printing channel, Joe Mike Terranella, and I do tutorials and all kinds of neat stuff there. I am currently the breaker of 3D printers, as I've broken 3 in the past week, so I'm on a roll. And I'm in the process of converting this thing over.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Vicky just joined us, and then we'll go to Glenn. So, Vicky?
You want me to go first?
Yeah,
okay.
Introduction.
Hi. Hi, everyone. I'm
great and wonderful.
You've done your mark. My name is Vicky Somma. I'm from Occoquan, Virginia, which is outside of Washington, D.C. I primarily print on a Maker Garrett M2 and a one-hand duplicator i3. I have a YouTube station, TGAW3D, which is sparsely updated right now. And I sell prints at craft shows and Etsy. So I thought maybe I'd talk a little bit about that today.
Cool. Thank you. And then last but not least, Glenn and Xander.
I'm Glenn.
And I'm Xander.
And together we are Fun King 3D, and we are a father and son 3D printing and electronic project pair. We do have a YouTube channel and a Facebook and a Twitter, Instagram, Gab, pretty much anything social media. It's all at Fun King 3D. We have never made money with 3D printing, though we know how to spend money with 3D printing. Therefore, we're hoping
about to make money.
You think you're about to make money?
Yes, I'm showing something right now.
We're
Yes.
we're hoping
Yes.
to learn something from you guys.
Also, I have a challenge. Is that if you mention fidget spinners, you have to take a drink.
Yeah, I unfortunately missed the whole rage on those. I didn't get my printer until after it had died, so I made $0.
Yeah, I was coming in on the tail end of that as well. You know, when you see them, the Chinese ones being delivered at the store, $4.50 each, and that one is come and gone.
So, while we're talking about it, did anybody actually make money off of fidget spinners?
I did, actually. Like Richard said, there was a huge influx of the Chinese knockoffs hitting like all of our local supermarkets and gas stations. But the one niche that I had was metal, because I started printing with all the color fab metals and some of the polyalchemy metals, and so I started making fidget spinners out of those. And I had a lot of people hop on board for those for like $30 to $40 a piece. And there was a couple that I was able to get even more than that because I did the post-processing on. So I made a little bit from fidgeting.
I think Mike from Neo Portnoy sold a lot of fidget spinners too.
Yeah, I know. Nilla Bean actually paid for a printer. He printed all of his off of his A8 and paid for another printer with that profit. So, but unfortunately, we missed that whole thing.
Yeah, I was too late also. I only printed one fidget spinner in a fab lab before I got the printer. But then when I got the printer, the like you said, the gas stations and everybody was selling fidget spinners for a very low price. So nobody was gonna pay premium for those.
Yeah, I had access to. I actually made one on a plasma cutter. It wasn't thick enough, but and the kerf actually was too much that the bearing didn't actually fit in, so it wasn't really worth it. But it would have been cool if I would have made them out of steel. We have to all drink now,
Yep.
so.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have nothing to drink, so I'm going to.
Well, I actually
Stay.
never said the word, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There you go, Xander. We're gonna drink to it. This is
He's
Coke,
getting you
by
on
the
a
way. Regular Coke.
technicality. Mitch, don't let him get you on a technicality like that.
Nah.
You know, as a father and son team, I think about everything I say before I say it. Therefore, I protect myself.
Yeah, just spoken like a true lawyer. Got it.
I found interesting, my brother's an engineer and self-employed, and so he's does a lot of work, quite focused in on things. So really, you know, he knew about 3D printers, but didn't really understand where they are today and what they could do. And he had a part break on his home shredder. It's a $500 shredder. And the manufacturer considers that shredder to be a toss-away device. So they don't make extra parts for it. Their main shredder line starts at $2,000 to $3,000 and up, sort of thing. So he went and measured the part and fired the dimensions off to me. I printed it off for him, and now not only does he want more of them, the customer care representative that he was dealing with, service and what have you, he wants more too. Since the company won't provide him with the parts, he would take the parts because they have a number of customers who really don't want to throw out a $500 machine because a part that's worth a few bucks broke. So that's going to keep things busy. But when we're talking about that, It turns out that he has things that he services that, industrial machines. One's a high-speed label reader or something like that, and they just converted from incandescent lights to LEDs for the light source for the reader. And of course, it's a different dimension. And he's been using heat shrink and tape to fit these in. And I said, well, just measure it, send me the parts, we can print them. And then it sort of led to one thing to another. And my printer is going to be busy just working on these engineering parts, just for a small area where people didn't realize that we can make solid parts that meet their requirements, might be better than what they're getting from their original suppliers, and doesn't take much. Very easy to draw these things up. In Fusion 360, it just took minutes to do the first part, and you have a product that you can get out there. So you don't have to worry about the Chinese coming in and taking over the market. You're just focused into one small area.
Well, I would say on a $500 shredder that has this common broken part, that sounds like at least a $50 to $100 part to me.
I'll be getting good money for them.
Yeah, replacement parts are definitely like the start of what you can do. Unfortunately, like, it's trying to get up to the injection mold quality that you can get, with common parts. But yeah, niches are like a niche market is definitely where it's at. But even then, it's all comes down to the cost of your labor of modeling. Mainly, modeling is my problem with doing commission work is I'm not that fast at modeling, so I don't want to charge somebody, $50 an hour to sketch and sketch up or something.
Right. Well, one of the things that we can do with it too, which is nice now that I got it, is I'll be filling the print beds with these. Now, actually, as I mentioned, I have the Moe here working on its second print, just finished the assembly, and they have a tough resin that I'm going to be seeing what that turns out like for some of these parts, because it may meet the needs that he needs for these smaller parts. It's amazing the resolution you can get off of this.
Yeah, that's what's cool about resin printing is now we gotten to the point where you actually can get really detailed parts that are accurate enough to replace injection molded parts. The problem I have is that the resin is not strong enough unless you use different formulas. So, I mean, experimenting with that is pretty cool.
Well, yeah, back in the FDM world, I have a roll of the carbon fiber from atomic filament that still haven't been able to try out because my focus has been doing other things and getting this Moe printer up and running. The maker box had a carbon fiber nylon mix, which has a lot of potential too.
Yeah, nylon I mentioned this in the previous one, but the Nylon X filament has just been amazing until my printer jammed. So I was really disappointed too because I was building a robot like in the night before the competition or a week before the competition. My nozzle jams and then I can't print it, so I use my roommate's printer to print it in ABS. But yeah, getting strong usable parts is always the challenge.
Now, Vicky, you have a different approach. You're out in public selling parts. How does that? How do the public react when you're at a fair or something?
Well, right now, 3D printing is still quite a novelty. So when I'm doing craft shows, I'm often like the only 3D printing booth there. I would love that to change. So if there are any 3D printers out there who want to do the Occoquan Fallen Arts craft show, come. I would love to have like a little corner of town that'd be all 3D printing. So really when I first started doing the craft shows, it was just sort of to expose a different demographic. to 3D printing, and I just started chasing like little passions of mine, which is, I remember birds that my maternal grandmother would, point out at the bird feeders. So I started making bird magnets. It was something that was very quick, that I could do with color changes. And it turns out cardinals are really super popular. People love cardinals. It turns out it's, I think it's the state bird of 11 states. So that tends to sell pretty well. I do bow ties because I was trying to think of something for a Father's Day show. I do souvenirs of my town, which is a tourist attraction. I've done the the National Museum of the Marine Corps, which is in Quantico, Virginia, near us. So, very souvenir-y, ornament kind of things. And then at the same time, I put those up on Etsy. And I put them up on Etsy because I was thinking I was going into my first craft show. And I'm like, oh, I might sell out of things. I need a place to point people if I sell things out. And I didn't sell out of anything. But, by putting up that site, I ended up getting sales that way without I never even told any of my girlfriends that I had an Etsy site. I didn't tell any of my friends. I didn't publish it on Twitter or Facebook. I just was focused on the craft show and just happened to put up the Etsy site. And so that's done fairly well for me, particularly on the fourth quarter. So if it is something you think you might be interested in, this is a good time to get involved because Cyber Week is coming up at the end of this month. So you may score some extra traffic there.
Actually, you mentioned some of the stuff you've done. Something that I'm working on seems to be up your alley with the crafts, and that's dollhouse furniture.
Yeah. I saw the most beautiful dollhouse furniture. I'll have to find it. It was on the Color Fab Twitter. Someone had done it in Corkville. It was gorgeous. But yeah, I thought about I've had people come to me and, it's just like what Mitch was saying. You get these custom projects and it's really hard to quote out your modeling time, especially if the person's I had a neighbor who wanted to do just Christmas presents of their childhood home for all her siblings. And you're not going to have the hugest amount of budget for that. And so I think she just wanted 5 prints. So I just sort of tried to, I priced it per print and tried to spread out the modeling cost just on that. But I started thinking with all these little custom houses that maybe it's with trains. I think I mentioned this before. Maybe I can send test prints or, maybe the train population will want some train population. That sounds weird. The model train community would want some of these houses.
Well, actually, I started a Facebook page this spring and for 3D printing for model trains. And we're around 540, 550 members so far. So the community is looking into seeing what can we do this. And some of the other train Facebook groups I'm part of, you can see people going, I wonder if we can 3D print this, or quite a few things. Mm-hmm. Shapeways is big. People go, I got this done at Shapeways.
Yeah. I started my whole little 3D printing career. I started with just modeling a necklace I wanted and having it printed at Shapeways. And I did know that there's a huge train section at Shapeways there.
Yeah, we're talking about this one.
I don't know. Was it on the Color Fab site?
Yeah, I made this model the other day and printed with a cork fill. Yeah.
I really love the cork foam.
Yeah, I did this in Fusion 360 and thought it was a good idea to make furniture out of wood filament.
Well, one thing with the dollhouse furniture, even though I have a request to do custom furniture, I asked them, is it okay if I make more and I sell the copies? And they didn't have a problem with that. So that way I could justify the time doing the modeling of this furniture.
Yeah, if it's something that I find fascinating or something, I'll ask them can I make a YouTube video with this? That's something I will factor in with my pricing, and particularly if I find it interesting.
You did that in Corkville, Martin? And
yeah, this one is cork fill.
now you're going to be selling those off, or was that for family? Or
Just for fun.
Just for fun,
I was decided to review the Colorfab Corkville and thought of something to print with, and printed out this tree stump.
Perfect.
But
That
I
prints really
wanted to-
well.
Yeah, it looks really nice and really organic look. But I then modeled this one just to do something that would be made out of wood in real life. So I made this.
Mitch, you mentioned earlier the Nylon X, so I went and grabbed it. But that's, I don't know if you can see that. That was printer break number 1. That's a Nylon X blob.
Hey, but at least it won't break.
No, in fact, I've been working on this heat block for the last week trying to get the nylon off of it. It's relatively clean now compared to the way it was, but this stuff is seriously, of all the stuff to goop up my hot end, this stuff.
You're gonna break the Priester frame that way.
Yeah. The blues will die that way.
Okay, so yeah, I'm having the problems with my Priestas, but I've got a debot that it's still in the box. I haven't even touched it, but that's ideally going to be my printer that I put a volcano hot in and just max out and try to print as fast as possible, because my goal is to do mechanical stuff, and I mean, I do robot combat stuff, so 3D printing and robot combat has been popular, but it's really nice. I don't think I can actually sell parts for for the robot community, because most people just get their stuff water jet cut. But I have a different kind of approach of how I made money with 3D printing. Is I actually worked for a 3D printing company. There's a local company in Dallas called Polyprinter, and they actually build the 3D printers in this basically a workshop, or and they actually almost pretty much build them from scratch. Like, they laser cut all the parts. They have a Tormach CNC. They have a couple, like, about, I think, 15, 20 employees, and they also have on-site service. So they actually go to all the schools and libraries that we've sold to and service these printers. So I was a service tech for them, and me and like 2 other people are in their service techs. But I did that for like about a couple months last year, or year before that. I'm not really sure, but I made a little bit of money doing that. Not a lot, because I don't think there's a lot of profit in selling 3D printers at a small scale. They probably only sold a couple, maybe 100, 200 printers. But I'm sure other people have worked around or for 3D printing companies. But it did get me my current job as a CNC technician at a bigger company. So I do attribute 3D printing for making me money. So, but does anybody else actually do something related to 3D printing for a living?
Well, I own a business. Sorry, I just got word that one of my prints failed, so I've got to stop it remotely. And so much for that 3D printing business, huh?
Opportunity cost, like somebody mentioned earlier, is when your printers are down. It's an opportunity cost that's wasted.
Yeah, it's so I started 3DKC a while back ago, and incorporated it into an LLC. Primary focus for that company at first was consignment prints, but it soon kind of turned into an education organization. So schools around the area who were getting printers for STEM, and businesses who just got a 3D printer for either prototyping or for showcasing stuff like that, they needed training on the machines. So I found that there was a niche there here in Kansas City that wasn't being met. So I started up the company, had relatively decent success with that. And I'm moving into actual product development and retail with the the Octoprint for the MK3. I'm doing the boards, the Pi Zeros, pre-soldering those and cables to hook up the Raspberry Pi 2 and 3 to the new NC board. So it's slowly transitioning into a larger entity than I originally thought it would.
So it's interesting that you incorporated it too. I haven't actually started the business, so is it a pain to actually incorporate?
Not in Missouri. It's pretty much just filing the paperwork and making sure that you kind of keep diligence on your accounting, pay taxes, and I went as far as to get an EIN for the company to keep it separate from my personal Social Security number. I have a separate bank account for it, and I keep everything separate just in case for some reason, litigation comes up. They can't really get to my personal life. So it acts as its own corporate entity. Just little things like that. But the actual incorporation itself was really easy. It was just filling out some paperwork online and be incorporated.
It normally doesn't take much. The rules are different in the States and Canada, but if you're small, it normally doesn't take much to get set up as a small company. Especially if you do something like a sole proprietorship.
Yeah, it's pretty easy here in the state of Florida as well. It's literally going online, filling out a form, picking your president and vice president, your officers, and you're done. And then you get hold of the Florida Department of Revenue to get your EIN. That part's all easy. It's keeping up with the taxes that's the hard part.
Yeah, it's all the diligence that sucks.
Yes. That's why I'm taking an accounting course.
I actually signed up online at accountingcoach.com and went through their whole spiel and learned a lot. So I use like a bunch of accounting tools, QuickBooks, stuff like that to just kind of automate a lot of the stuff that I don't normally do. So I don't know.
I know, coming from the computer world, I dealt with a lot of small businesses. And one of the things that people run into when they start a company is they really don't keep track of their expenses very well. They don't realize actually how much they're spending running their company, whether it's the printer, the extra parts here. I don't know if you can sort of see it in the bowls here. I'm just rinsing off a print. By the way, this little ring, I started it when we went on air, and it's done printing. So, but anyways, things like the alcohol that's in the bath here, these containers, all these small things you gotta keep track of. And the first time they go in at year end, quite often you show up with a box of receipts that they don't really understand what's what. So if you're new at it, it's better to start out keeping track of what you have. It makes year end so much easier.
So Nick just joined. If he wants to introduce himself, go ahead. Well,
My boy.
Let me see. Can you guys hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, awesome. Wow, it's actually working. I didn't think it was going to. That's awesome. So I am way white balanced out here, so I'm gonna have to mess with some lights in a minute here. Nick Ange, most of you guys know me because I just happen to be the husband of Lauren Ange with at Abuzzdesign, and she is not at home at the moment, so I figured I would jump in because this is a topic that I know a little bit about based on everything that she does with her company. So I will say that my experience with 3D printing and making money is that she makes it and I tend to spend it at events.
Sounds like the reversal of the normal household.
Yeah, it actually kind of is. Although,
Lucky.
Look, I'm not going to complain. I'm a big fan of
better
this whole
not.
setup.
Cool. So, hey, Vicky, I was gonna ask, have you gone through the process of incorporating and all that?
I have not. I am still a sole proprietorship. I do have a federal tax ID. I do collect Virginia state taxes, and I file those monthly.
Cool. So,
Lauren, I think, incorporated up in Maine, right, Nick?
Yeah, she did. Lauren is Abuzzdesigns is actually an LLC up here. So she's got an LLC that runs out of the house. I've got an LLC that runs out of the house. We both have our own businesses. I've got a trade name, which is just another reason for me to give money to the state of Maine, apparently. But yeah, she incorporated Abuzzdesigns back in May, I believe, and super easy up here, just like most things in Maine, not overly complicated. I think it was 2 pages worth of paperwork to fill out and writing them a check, and she was able to get that. And then after that, the state says that we have to once a year do a filing for all the corporate profits that were made. We are currently at none, so that shouldn't be much of an issue.
Profit loss, keep a balance sheet. Last year I was able to, because I purchased a crap ton of equipment last year, and I actually folded the YouTube channel and everything into 3DKC, and I was able to take a loss last year, which gave me a massive tax return. It was nice. So keep a balance sheet.
Yeah, that's she's got an ongoing spreadsheet that she's keeping the profits and losses in, and so far everything that's been made has been reinvested into Abuzzdesigns. Note the Mark II or the Prusa MK2S. We've got the MK3 on the way whenever that happens to come out of those profits. We've got the 2.5 upgrade kit that's coming based on those profits. The light boxes, which are currently making me look a little bit like a White Walker over on this side, those I believe are from profits. So yeah.
so is it a profit and loss statement if it's just all loss?
Yeah.
Yep.
Balance sheet. You keep a balance sheet of money coming in and money going out, and they do, any startup has, this period where it really doesn't make money. Now, that being said, you got to kind of be careful as to, what you expense, because they can come after you and do an audit and then say, was this actually, business related, or did you just throw it in here to add to your loss, So you have to be able to number one, track your purchases, and number two, if push comes to shove, be able to justify the fact that is actually a business expense versus just something that you took and bought for yourself. I do take money out of the corporation, but I have to do it in such a way that I pay myself a salary, a very, very small salary. The law only says that you have to pay yourself a reasonable salary for the job that you have. And so I pay myself very little, but I'm able to move a little bit of money out of the company account and into my own account for whatever I want to spend it on. But that money will be taxed. It is already taxed with Social Security and everything else that comes along with it, but it would be considered a profit.
Oh no, I used to have a sign up when I had a computer company, and it said, "This is a nonprofit organization." Wasn't planned to be that way, but that's the way it's worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also there's a certain time frame. I can't remember offhand, but if you don't make money by that time frame, they're going to just consider these activities a hobby as opposed to a business.
Yeah, that also varies state and federally. You can actually stay in startup mode for a really long time. Like E3D, I don't know if they've done it recently, but the last time I checked, E3D was still in startup mode because they were pouring so much money into their development. So I don't know where they're at now, but yeah, you can stay in startup as long as you can prove that you have income coming in and not just going out, and that income is then going back into the business. They'll consider that a viable business, even if you have like, you know, no profit and you took like $100 loss at some point. As long as you have a revenue stream coming in, they are usually pretty okay with that, because their big red flag is seeing a lot of spending with no money coming in, or just very, very little money coming in, making it look like that you're not actually trying to run a business, but you're just using it as an umbrella, kind of. By the way, I'm not a tax attorney, and any advice that I give on this stream is strictly for
recreational purposes.
There you go.
Well, they also get a little concerned if you're showing money going out, money going out, money going out, nothing coming in, because they think you're burying it, that you're taking cash and just putting it in the pocket. So that's the other red flag.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want to do that either. I mean, if you take money out of your account to spend it on personal uses, you need to make sure there's paperwork that follows that, and that you do the proper tax adjustments to the money coming out. That's why I do it as a salary. That way I can automatically take out set amounts for tax that I will end up paying. Blah. Thanks, Uncle.
Yeah, I think I'll keep it a cash business for now.
Yeah. Vicky, Pattern to Print asked in chat about the cost of actually setting up a booth at a trade fair. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I did answer it in the chat too. But here in Occoquan, Virginia, we have two big craft shows. I think they get 10,000 visitors each time. The typical booth fee is $300. Because I'm a town business, I have a business license, I get my booth for $100. So those are the two most expensive shows that I do. And then I do a whole bunch of like littler ones, like maybe, small craft shows at local rec centers, at American Legions. And those booth fees are much more reasonable, or not reasonable, but economical, we should say, where there's been $10 booth fees or $25 booth fees, that kind of thing. There's one really awesome show. This will be my third year doing it. It's at Christmas time. They have a giant Santa Claus parade, and Santa comes, he does his whole parade, and he comes into this building where they have an arts holiday market. That booth fee is free. It's free. And then they set me up right next to Santa. So I do really well at that show, and it's a free booth fee. And one thing I've noticed is, you start to do one show, some people will come and they'll hand you a card, or they'll get you the contact information. You'll start getting emails about other people, wanting you to do their shows. All of a sudden, like Facebook and their algorithms, they start showing me shows I'll see it in my Facebook feed. I'm like, oh, let me call them. And if you ever see a deadline that's passed, it doesn't hurt to ask. That Santa Claus parade one, I was way past the deadline the first time I found out about it, and I emailed them, and they let me in, and it was great. I will say it is really, really tough work. You got to get up at 4 a.m. You got to pack everything up. You got to, put your booth out. In September, this was the same weekend as the New York Maker Faire. It was in the 90s. An elderly woman had some kind of heat exhaustion and projectile vomited behind my booth, so there's a lot of unpleasantries that go with it. But I would say every single one has, paid off. Even my worst show, which was last June, sales-wise, I left with contacts. I left with custom design requests, and what came from that show made it worth it in dividends. And all the custom work I'm working on from my September show, it's well worth the projectile vomit.
One thing some people are surprised by, if you're going to take a printer with you, sometimes you have to let them know that you need electricity.
Yes, so that's another thing where I get a little advantage here. My brother, for my first few years, he owned a shop right where they put my craft show booth. So normally the vendors don't have power, but I can run an extension cord from my brother's shop. My brother's no longer at that spot, but I have befriended some comic book Pokemon people who are in that same shop, and they lent me power this time so I can do my 3D printing, which, you know, most of my initiative is try to expose more people to 3D printing, have these people who are creative and, you know, like pass by, and I hope they see like my stuff and they think I can do that and I can do that better, and, you know, they'll start doing it as well. And if you can't bring a printer, sometimes you're just yelling like, hey, this is all 3D printed. That's enough to get attention or start a dialogue.
Cool. So Glenn, Xander, actually, you're the one who said you might be making some money. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm curious too, because I'm not really sure what he was talking
What
about.
do you mean? Okay. So I printed this Pikachu for my friend for his birthday, and I ended up giving it to him at church. And this other kid sees it, and he's like, I want one of those. And I'm like, it's $5. 2 weeks later, he's going to get it.
Yes, it's not actually a Pikachu. It's a
Low poly.
It's a Nikachu for copyright purposes.
Oh.
So now you're gonna sell it for 15. You know, cover
yeah,
your
he's trying to entrepreneur against his friends, and so, you know, I told him early on. I said, look, this stuff costs us time and money. If your friends want stuff, just tell them $5. So, you know, if it works, it works. So
yeah, that's generally what I charge. Is like I've actually gotten it down to basically $5 an hour of print time seems to be a pretty good average for most things.
Yeah, I had one conversation with a guy at work, and I was showing him some prints, and he asked me, "Can you make this for me?" And I said, "Okay, I can do that if you make some money for me instead." So he didn't get it at first, but I said, if I'm gonna make a print, you have to make some money. So so it's an exchange. So it's people don't recognize that it has cost to use the materials and the time to models and print, and there's no reason for you to give out your work just to everybody.
So what do you guys normally charge? Like, if you guys all want to say what you normally charge or how you go about figuring that out.
Yeah, like in my case, I sold one 3D landscape print to a friend, and he wanted a specific area, and I told him I have to calculate it in dollars. Give me a sec.
We can do it in euros or whatever.
Yeah, I can pull up Google so they convert it.
What about you, Richard? What do you normally charge for
I'm
printing?
just into actually selling these prints. So it's a head scratcher. You know, they ask you about the material. Really, the material, it's pennies. It's not the cost. The cost is how much time you have to put into designing things and how much time you have to get into, you know, doing the slice, and then actually getting a successful print. One of the estimates I learned a while back off of, I forget where I picked it up, but they said basically if you calculate the price as being, if you're going to sell person one item, sell them 2.5 times that, because you probably tossed out a print or two to get to that final product. So you have to roll that in as well.
We also have to consider wear and tear on your machine. You know, not just your printer, but even your computer, that you know, you had to take the time to sit and design. I mean, you're putting wear and tear on everything through that. So you have to take that into consideration too, because at some point you're going to have to buy something to fix something.
Working with an artist a while back, she told me a story of someone coming in, and she was just finishing a painting, and the guy asked, you know, how long did it take you to paint that? She said 10 years. What do you mean 10 years? He said, well, it's been 10 years since I've started learning how to hold my hand, to use the brushes, use the tools, and bring out the expressions. You know, the time of actually firing out this one painting isn't the cost. It's what led me up to being able to do this painting. And I think that goes into us and what we're doing as well, is you have to consider how much time you've put into learning how to do this to turn it into a moneymaker. So we're not giving you a definitive number, but don't undercut yourself by just going, well, I only used, according to the slicer, I used $2 worth of filament on this. That's not the cost of the print.
Yeah, we just said something about a minimum, like Chapman, Justin, not Justin, Chapman, he does is about $5 minimum, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I was in my case, I told the guy that the plastic would cost maybe $5 or $6, but I would, for my time to create the model and paint it, I would request $95 for it in total, and that
sounds about right.
Yeah, so that was just for a single landscape print, and I made put 1 hour in on work on it. So
I know that we use, and I say we because Lauren and I both, but we algorithm that Lauren had found, pretty much a worksheet that kind of broke everything down, including, you know, percentage of prints you thought were going to fail, amount of design time, wear and tear, cost of electricity, price per gram, price per, you know, per roll, whatever you were however you wanted to weigh that out. And from all of that, developed kind of a cost estimate for what it would cost you to do each project, and whether or not it was a single print versus doing it multiple times. And I know that she used the process that she uses, or it's huge in the process for designing her ears, figuring out which one she thinks she's going to sell and being able to price them that way. I know that she also did some side work for a contractor in her, I guess I'll call it her other life. Her about wanting to do something, and that was very specific design and kind of a one-time deal, but the product that he was looking for at that point. And in that case, she ended up charging a certain price per hour for a design fee, plus the cost of the materials to print out, I believe it was 3 prototypes. And then if the guy came back and wanted changes made to it, there was a cost associated with changes. So if you wanted 3 separate changes made to it, that was all incorporated in the first cost that she gave him. If you wanted more than 3 changes made to it and it would require another printing of another prototype, then the cost ended up going up. And I think that entire project probably ended up running the guy like $500 just because of the design time, the print time, everything that happened there. And he was more than happy to pay it. And as a matter of fact, I think he's called her back about doing another project sometime soon. That was far more labor intensive than some of the other things that she's ended up doing. So I think there's the chance for things being profitable, but then I think you got to start questioning, are you enjoying what you're actually doing to make a profit in doing it? So I know Lauren loves doing the ears, the Mickey ears, and thoroughly enjoys the design work from that. I just talked to her, and she got apparently a lot of design work done on her recent little excursion. So probably new ears coming out. Don't mean for that to be a pitch, but it kind of happened. That she enjoyed, but that other design work, while it was probably more profitable in the short term, was far less fun for her. So
yeah, I know. Was it Panzer I won't even try to pronounce it, but he's talking about minimum $50 per item for painting, and that's a big part of it too. Is painting and post what do you call it? Post processing, because support material removal should definitely be included in your cost, because that is the hardest part, honestly, for even a one color print, and especially if you're using simplified 3D, even just the time it takes to customize the support material and do it right, that's a lot of it. One of my I wasn't really commissioned. I don't think she actually paid me, but it was a human sculpture. It was like a human form, and so there was legs and the arms and stuff. And I spent a lot of time figuring out how to bisect the figure to basically print on my Prusa without using as much support material and making it so it can come off the bed. So that was, and I basically ruined 2 or 3 prints, and it took me and she wanted it done in 24 hours. So, and because I was a friend, I stuck through it, but I finally delivered the morning of. But the main thing I did, one of my bigger prints, the one I actually got paid for the most, was 3 years ago. I made a Pip-Boy from Fallout 3. It was the Pip-Boy 3000, and I went a little step above and painted it and did all the used silver paint and green paint and did kind of the weathering essentially on it. And on top of that, I used a rotary knob, rotary switch as part of the knob on the model, and then I had 3 orange LEDs, which I had to source the orange LEDs at Radio Shack when they were still around, and soldered the circuit, put a little 9-volt battery in there, put a resistor in there. I made a circuit, and I actually my last one that I sold, I custom made it, or I custom did it in Tinkercad so that it would fit an iPhone 5 perfectly, and it took me at least 6 to 8 hours to model that. And so the problem is I sold each one for about, the first one I sold for about $80. The next one I sold for about $160. The last one I sold for about $180, and that was through Make XYZ, which took a cut. So I only got $160 for basically painting, doing electronics, custom design work, and printing it. And so I feel like I got way undercharged. I way undercharged for that model. So that's the kind of things you get stuck with, is saying yes to something that's way more than you estimated. But cosplay props are a big part of my, what I've made a lot of money on is cosplay props. So I don't know if anybody else does that.
Well, that's why Brenna got a printer. That was her focus, is cosplay stuff. So she's off writing right now, so she can't talk about that.
But she makes pretty good money with that, or
nope, not a dime, not yet.
Not at all. Oh, it'll come if you.
She's working
it's definitely
on
about
it.
marketing.
Yeah. She yells in the background.
Anybody else use? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying, she yells in the background. She is working on it. So.
Oh. Yeah, well, that's a big part of it too. Is the marketing, right? You use social media. A lot of us use social media, especially YouTube. And I don't really care if you guys advertise your product, except for I think YouTube might have a problem with that on this stream. But yeah, social media is a big part of it. I've noticed, and I have a Facebook page for my Mitch 3D. That's kind of commissions, but not really, and I don't really advertise it that much. But if you're on Facebook, Mitch 3D, no. But anyway, I just want to hear what you guys think about how you market and use social media to your advantage. Somebody wants to chime in. Vicky?
I can chime in if you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
So, like I said, I've been transitioning to doing a little bit of retail with the Pi board. So I signed up for Hootsuite, and so I'm able to schedule Pi board. Well, that works. I've been able to schedule, scheduled posts along Twitter and Instagram with links to where people can hop on and purchase a pre-soldered Pi Zero for the Prusa, as well as the cable. And I've been scheduling those via Hootsuite. And they go to Instagram, they go to Twitter, they go to my Facebook, like my personal Facebook. So that's how I've been leveraging social media. And I'm pretty sure when the actual Prusa machine starts shipping, when the Mark III starts shipping, then in the Mark III video, then I will, kind of give the plug in the video as far as, hey, if you want one of these for Octoprint, I sell them at 3dkc.net. So there you go. The end.
The end. But I don't think I'm that great at promoting myself on social media. I am definitely enjoy our Twitter 3D printing community. My Instagram, I used to post prints there, but now it's more nature photos. I do think a good resource for maybe learning to market your products would come from the Shapeways blog. Eric Ho, one of the former community managers, did a lot of blogs on like, here's how to promote yourself on Pinterest, here's how to promote yourself on Instagram. And I think that that's a resource that would translate over to our prints as well outside of Shapeways.
Yeah, I was wondering, oops, I lost myself. Hold on. Anyway, I was wondering about the 3D Hubs thing that happened recently. I'm not really sure exactly what happened, but I know that, some shake up in the community over how 3D Hubs kind of restructured. I mean, do you guys have any problems with what happened with 3D Hubs, or do you have a 3D Hub?
I do have a 3D Hub. I haven't seen any activity in 2017, which may be related to the Express checkout. To be honest, I have not investigated or taken a look at it. I think, someone mentioned in the chat, you have your printer. If your printer's working on that, you're not making your own products. So, right now I'm very satisfied with where my workload is. And sometimes, you can't really control when something comes in from 3D Hubs. I'll probably still keep a presence there because that might be, my 3D Hub might be what Shapeways was to me, which is this person who's just like has this design, wants to make it real and like get involved in 3D printing. So, I'll keep it there. May not go out of my way to figure out how to get more activity to it, but yeah.
Yeah, I actually, my one 3D Hubs order that actually was successful. I think I had two, but one of them was interesting because my friend because I'll get to that, but he messaged me on 3D Hubs, or put in an order on 3D Hubs for parts for a Raman spectrometer, which is a device that can analyze chemicals based off of light reflectivity. I'm not really sure exactly, but look it up. But anyway, I printed the parts for him, and ABS I fulfilled the order. I met him in person, and then I told him about the makerspace. And so a year later, he actually just showed up at the makerspace and joined as a member. And he's been a member for a couple of years, and we're actually good friends now. So it was actually more of a networking opportunity than it was, selling my prints. So that was kind of a cool thing that happened with 3D Hubs. But most of my actual money-making stuff is through Make XYZ. But that's like once in a blue moon. The last one, I fished out a model to my friend who is actually a 3D modeler, and I just gave him the whole amount of the profit because I was just the third party. But yeah, 3D Hubs just from meeting people, it's been more beneficial than getting money.
Yeah, I think my biggest revenue for 3D printing is actually this model. This is my great grandfather, and I have a big statue of him like this. That's like this big, and I took photos and made a scan out of it, and I posted on the Facebook group where all his children and grandchildren and all the family has a Facebook page, and I've sold several of those in there, and this is just a very personal item that people thought was a good idea to get, and I've been selling those for like $40, and maybe the material cost is like $2 or $3. But I spent a lot of time cleaning up the model and creating it. So if you can find like a closed market for something, that can be a good place to get some sales to.
Yeah, Nick, if you wanted to comment about the Lawrence use of social media for the ears.
Yeah, she's a little social media diva when it comes to this stuff. The launch for A Buzz About Ears. Sorry, there were some naming things that were going on in the house. She didn't go with my name because it would have driven people away. But there was she definitely started the launch on Instagram right around the time that she was filing for the whole LLC paperwork. She started the social media campaign, and she started kind of leaking photos a little bit on Instagram before everything went out. And then once she had the paperwork and she had the designs and she was good to go with it, that's when she kind of went full scale with Instagram. So now all of the designs that she does, anything that's going to be processed or anything that's going to be up for sale, when she prints out the first ones, she'll snap photos of it. She'll put it on Instagram. She'll actually stage photos with items that are something close to what she's doing. So not that it's a Disney product or the Disney ears, but she did Grinch ears for Christmas, which I absolutely love because he's one of my favorite Dr. Seuss characters. But she staged the photo with the Grinch ears and the Grinch Who Stole Christmas book. She's done the same thing with other ears, other Disney ears. And she's constantly doing that social media presence to keep things going there. Not only is she doing it on Instagram, but you'll see some of the stuff on Twitter. There's a Facebook page for the Abuzzdesigns and A Buzz About Ears. So she's all over social media and doing these things. And in doing so, what's actually happened is she's become part of different groups that are connected in social media as well. And it's kind of like let's call it a conglomerate. All these people who do Disney ears, let's say, or do different ears are usually part of these groups. And, you know, one person will back somebody else up and say, oh yeah, these are great. And they've done swaps in between them. And, you know, so the social media presence has just grown beyond the people that she connected to initially through Instagram and Facebook to all these other people that she's connected with. And I think that's really helped drive sales for the ears as well. So social media, I think, plays a big factor in what you're doing if you're looking to sell. I would be curious, Vicky, we'll have to talk about this sometime, about the difference of trying to sell online versus doing it at the craft shows or shows or something like that.
The difference?
Yeah.
I would say at the craft shows, you know, like people are, you know, sort of like a captive audience, so you can get more eyes on it. You're not like competing, like trying to find the right tags. But I think the people who shop at Etsy tend to want to pay higher prices, I think, sometimes.
Yeah. There's a mic. Yeah, I would agree. I've actually been kind of surprised with it. I honestly didn't know
because
what it was going to look like.
They'll also pay for the shipping. You know, like you have your Etsy price, they'll pay the shipping and handling too. And then, you know, like originally, you know, at the craft show, I would think, oh, my prices, maybe I can include in like what I would do for the total price for Etsy, which would be in shipping and handling. And they tend to want to be slower, like smaller, with quarters and dollars and stuff like that.
Yeah, so
what Glenn is working on with the little snake thing. Is that cable chain?
Yes, I'm fidgeting with it because I'm not allowed to use the other things anymore. No, it's the It's a cable chain for my A8. I'm in the process of changing it over to the aluminum AM8 frame. So I'm just trying to, I've been documenting it on video through the whole thing, but I'm trying to do the busy work off camera, the stuff that nobody really wants to watch. And the heat cartridge had gone out in the original hot end. And to buy a heat cartridge, I bought the whole entire hot end for the same price it would have cost me for a heat cartridge. So score.
I just saw the bright yellow filament, and that kind of caught my eye. But that's my ADD. So
that's Fun King colors, black and yellow all the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you guys what do you guys do for what do you call it? Branding, I would call it. Like, I know some of you have paid like with Fiverr to get logos and drawings and, you know, all your branding and keeping a consistent design language, I guess. I mean, what have you guys put into your branding as part of your marketing?
Well, I mean, I'm crazy about branding. The Fun King has been mine for many, many, many years. I actually developed him for a t-shirt company. Well, I don't even know how many years ago, longer than Xander's been alive. So, but the cool part was he was always two-dimensional. So because the only place that he ever was on stickers and shirts and printed on paper. And so now I've actually got to model them. But as I throw him, if you go back and watch some of our original videos, which are almost painful to watch now, even though we've only been doing this for a few months, but sorry. At some point, I just decided that never should we not be branded. So every video now, we have the Fun King shirts on. When we go to events, all of Maker Faire New York, we had the shirts on.
What's the exact shirts?
No, not the same shirts. We had new clean ones each day, but it's I don't know. I mean, it helps to be recognized. It helps to even Orlando Maker Faire, which nobody there recognized us other than the Happy Extruder, because we're friends otherwise.
No, I found him.
Oh, whatever. Take your bow. Okay. So everything. I mean, the website, every time that I post our icon somewhere, it's got the same background. So I work very hard on branding. And I won't say that it's a necessity, but it is a passion of mine to always know that Fun King is seen. So I mean, people don't necessarily recognize this; they recognize this, and I'm okay with that.
Are you talking about this or this?
No, I said this.
Okay.
But they recognize this. So
Ooh.
that is a baller hat, Richard.
Well, thank you. People, you know, if they want to recognize something, quite often it gets brought in by something like this. The key thing for me is over the years, and it started, I'd say, mid 70s, starting playing D&D, I ended up with the character name of Zidim. And, you know, D&D went away for me for a while. But then I had one company, shut it down, was working for somebody else for a while, went back on my own, and I kept running into name conflicts. So I just told the lawyer, let's try Zidim. No conflicts, not a problem. And ever since then, most things I do, it's Zidim, whether I'm gaming or whether it's the website, Zidim.com. It works out rather well. I've had, companies, Zidim, something or other. I'm basically considered to be retired now, but still, it's still there. So I've done my focus around the name. The branding, I don't have the t-shirts. I've had different logos show up from time to time. The most long-lasting one has been the eyeball that I have, and that started when I was doing computer animation for television. But of late, I've taken a liking to that. So I think I'll be integrating it more into what I do for the videos. But then you still need a logo, and I'll probably try to come up with something that can go on to my prints. If I'm doing prints for somebody, maybe I can work it in. I can stamp it in on the bottom or what have you. So if they flip it over, they're going to see a little hat symbol and Zidim on there. But, it's marketing. You have to find something to go to. And I know in a number of areas, if I say Zidim, people go, oh, we know you. And you got things starting to roll.
Yeah, Vicky said she has to leave. If you want to bow out, or
yeah, I'm just gonna slink away. But thank you guys. It's been I've missed the last few, so it's been great chatting with everybody again. Don't take me as a role model for making money in 3D printing. I'm just a little baby. I've been making more than I spent. So, I am in the black, but I'm just a little baby thing out here. I would recommend the Arcanian workshop. You can find him on Twitter. Also his website, Arcania Workshop. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. He started an Etsy store just about a year ago, and he has well over 1,000 sales right now. He also is, I think, very successful at 3D hubs and commission orders as well. So he could be a good role model for you. The guys at 3D Central in Richmond, Virginia, they have a very flourishing online business. And of course, Lauren at Abuzzdesign is just killing it on the Etsy. And then a gentleman named Todd Blatt has a company called Custom 3D Stuff, and some of it is come from, I met him through Shapeways, and some of his stuff he has Shapeways produce, and he's very successful. This is his full-time job. So there are examples out there of people who are making more money than me with 3D printing, and so we have a lot to be optimistic about as this industry continues to grow. Oh, and one more thing, if you do want to start an Etsy shop, don't just start it. Contact me or Lauren or anybody who has an Etsy shop. We can send you a referral code and you'll get 40 free listings. And then we get 40 free listings too. So, definitely take advantage of that as well. So, yeah, closing speech.
Yep. Yeah, we really appreciate having you. So I definitely come back on the stream.
Oh yeah, I'll try. It's been busy, and we have the holiday season. So, but thank you, everybody. Have a great evening.
It was nice seeing you.
Bye, Vicky.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you, Vicky.
Bye.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but we are rolling into the Christmas season. So this is a time where folks may have projects that you could be working on that might bring in a little bit of money. It's start small and you can grow from there. It's just like we've talked several times about just revenue from YouTube. Over 90% of YouTube creators don't generate enough money to cover their internet hookup. So don't look at that as being a revenue source, but start small, find friends and see what you can do for them, and then you can grow it out from there.
That's a great point, Richard. There was actually a panel conversation at Maker Faire, New York. Glenn and Xander, I think, were there for that as well, where they brought some YouTube creators up on stage and were asking them about how to kind of make it happen. And I think to a person, they were all talking about how there had to be multiple revenue streams that were making it happen. Maker's Muse, Angus was talking about design stuff that he does, as well as the YouTube stuff and a various amount of other things that he does that all contribute. Multiple revenue streams all contributing to him not having a day job. Joel, 3D printing nerd, was talking about how he's got a day job and everything he does ends up being after his wife and kids go to sleep at night, and he'll work until 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and how he's actually been able to get somebody to do the editing for him now, so that he doesn't have that process going on. But it's very much a conversation about, or very much, you can't just rely on YouTube as your sole monetary income. You have to look at those different revenue streams to make it happen.
Yeah, I think also YouTube changed the way they are paying out, so people are getting less revenue directly from YouTube. So I think that has great effect also if you have to have like million subscribers or something to get really good revenue only from YouTube videos.
Yeah, Patreon is, I think, one of the best ways for anybody, and I much rather spend $10 a month supporting a couple content creators than paying. Well, I pay for YouTube as well, but you know what I mean. Like I pay for YouTube Red and I pay for Patreon to support content creators, and I much rather do that than watch ads. Or
my problem with Patreon is that there's so many content creators that I want to support, and I just can't. You just can't. And I feel bad that I'm supporting one and not the others, because I love them all equally. I mean, if I was independently wealthy, I would just give money to everybody. But so it's like it's like going to the best store in the world and not getting to buy everything you want.
Yeah. Well, once again, you're much better off if you want to pay for your printer, and that is making the prints and getting things out there. That way, you'll have a much more reliable revenue stream for yourself. Matt's not here, but one thing that we hear from him quite often is they do garage sales, and he'll have his printers working behind him, and he'll be selling things that way. And that's an interesting marketing technique. Too bad he's not on here to go over exactly what he does, but I'm not really set up that I can't do that here. But I think that's a great way if you're in a neighborhood where you can open your garage door and show off a printer and just say garage sale or something. You might get some local interest that way.
were you saying that?
Oh, I was going to make a smart aleck remark that Glenn wants to be independently wealthy, so Xander really needs to get on printing some of the, what are they, Nikachus?
Yeah.
Yes, the Nikachus or Bikachus, either one is a good seller.
Yellow pocket monsters, that's what it is. No, they're Digimon. I'm sorry.
There was actually, Mitch, you'd brought up Patreon. There was an interesting a discussion about Patreon, how content creators supporting creators is actually just kind of like a windfall for Patreon when you start looking at everything that's taken out of it. So instead of being able to say, well, I'm going to support somebody for $1 and they support me for $1, it ends up actually being less than that when the percentages get taken out of it. I think I love the idea of Patreon, and I like the thought that you can support people that you watch. I just think when you get into the idea of supporting Angus supporting Joel, something like that, then you're not actually creating that. You're actually just creating wealth for somebody else. But that's a whole different economic story that we don't need to get into on this stream.
No, so then what we need to do as content creators is all come together and agree that, and of course this is going out publicly, so the secret will already be out, but I say, all right, Nick, I'm going to support you and you're going to support me, but we're not really gonna. We're just going to tweet it every month saying that I supported you on Patreon, and you're going to do the same thing.
I'm game. I like it.
What people don't realize, the people who aren't content creators, I mean, whether you're the guy that goes and watches the 3D printing YouTuber or you're watching the video game YouTuber, whatever, if you're not a content creator, you don't realize how expensive it is to be a content creator. I mean, not only from the aspect of the hardware that you have to buy to do it, but constantly buying things to have content, and the time, the amount of time that it takes. It is literally like working a whole nother full-time job. I mean, I work a 40+ hour a week job, and then I edit his videos and I edit my videos, and I mean, it's so time consuming. So, and that's I mean, that's where the cry for support. And there's a lot of people out there that say, oh, I don't support. They just want my money. They just want my money. But it isn't that, and that needs to be known. And I mean, we all in the community, we love one another, and we do want to support one another. But I really think it is dumb that we do that on Patreon. I mean, I give you $1, you give me $1.
Yeah.
Patreon's banking it, and we're getting nothing. So.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right about that, Glenn. I mean, the conversation comes. It's not the idea of 20 people that you're really close to on YouTube or whatever supporting you and giving you that $1 and you giving $1 out to each one of them. The idea really stems from it, and I think where Patreon could potentially be profitable is if you have enough of a reach that you have enough viewers and a certain percentage of them are all on Patreon. Then, and they're all supporting you with $1, then you can start looking at, okay, the percentage doesn't really add up quite as much because you're not giving money back to all of them as well. So I guess in a sense, it's kind of that shell game, always looking to find the right percentage, the right number there. And if you have a big enough audience, I think at that point you're able to maybe get a percentage of that audience via Patreon to support you via Patreon, which would offset creators supporting creators stuff.
Yeah, I am more likely to fund the Patreon of somebody who's doing it full time, like Tom and Jerry Barnacles and Angus. They all, I know they put a lot of work into it, and they're full-time content creators, and I think I rather support them than people that kind of do it half time.
But you know what the flaw in that logic is, Mitch, is if you don't support the guy that's not doing it full time, he'll never get to do it full time.
That's true, yeah, and that's that. I mean, it's usually because I'm watching them. I've been following them longer than the other ones. Like Tom, I've been watching longer than. I don't know. It might not be fair, but
right. Well, I mean, it's only because I have the mentality of the I'm gonna pick on GearBest again. They love to send free stuff to Joel and to Chuck and to Tom and to Angus because they have such a huge subscriber base. That subscription number doesn't necessarily mean anything. You could still be reaching a lot more people than you know, but they only send to the big guy. They never help that little guy become the big guy. So it kind of works that way with the Patreon too. And I mean, I'm gonna say it right now. I have a group of followers that are amazing. My little, I mean, like we're at what 344 subs, but I know that there is about a dozen that are almost cult following, which is really awesome to me. And they all know who they are.
And Xander
so
too.
It's really awesome to me.
I do.
Xander says,
don't let the fame get to your head.
Xander said he cult follows me.
I mean, you kind of have to, right?
Just with the whole GearBest thing, you don't have to be massive in order to get GearBest's attention. I'm not sure how I did it, but I'm still under 10,000 subs by a lot, and I had GearBest contact me, and they actually sent me a TiVo Tarantula that I'm in the process of overhauling. So yeah, you don't necessarily have to be like a Joel or an Angus or Jerry or someone with like 100,000 plus subscribers. I think they kind of look at other things as well other than just subscribers, and I don't know what that is, but I can tell you that I surely don't have enough subscribers for them to be considering me. Maybe it was because I contacted them and was like, hey, I want to try a printer, and I kept telling them I wanted to try the CR10, and they ended up sending me a TiVo, but I'm not gonna balk at that. I mean, that's still awesome. So
I fill out that pro partner request form every Wednesday. Every Wednesday, I request the same printer every Wednesday, and they've only ever contacted me back twice, and both times they said to me, Like, thanks for contacting us. Why don't you join our affiliates program instead? Which I've been to the affiliate program since we started all this. And it's like, help. I just want content. I even told him, I said, if you want the stuff back after I'm done, I'll ship it back to you.
No.
Stop. But the point is I'm just looking for a source of content. Content just is too expensive.
Yeah. I actually, I ended up joining the affiliates program and all that stuff. Although I have not used their affiliate links at all. I really don't know what the difference is, in all honesty. It's not me. Maybe it is me. Maybe I'm just weird enough for them. I don't know. Be weirder.
Yeah, having a personality on YouTube is definitely a part of it. I say that a lot about Jerry because, Barnacles, I've been watching him probably for 5 years or so, and it's pretty amazing, his following. But it's true, he has a pretty big personality. So, and same with Joel. I think Joel's personality does it too.
And our videos, when we first started this, and Xander and I would start shooting, and he would do something Xander-ish, and I would just and I would turn it off, and I go, look, we're gonna do that again, and this time you're not gonna make that stupid joke. You're gonna take this seriously. And it took only about 3 or 4 videos, and I thought, this is ridiculous. We're just gonna be who we are. So, and I am. What you guys see is me. I don't put on a fake facade to be on YouTube. So I don't want to fake a different personality to try to get bigger. I want the people to like me for me. So, all of the stupid jokes that are written into Xander's Thing Thursdays. That's all me.
The ultimate dad jokes.
Oh yeah, and some of them are hard to write, but we get them there.
Yeah, I think that having a general audience on YouTube tones down what I actually probably would make content for. But it is a lot of fun, and I would love to make more content, but I also don't want to be one of those talking head type. Obviously I'm doing it right now. I don't want to be those talking head type YouTubers. I would actually like to show hands-on work, and that's actually the hardest thing to film, is showing stuff hands-on.
Well, and it takes so much longer. When we built the A8 first 3D printer I'd ever assembled, but I'm a very mechanically inclined person. It took us 10.5 hours on film, and I think I could have built that thing in about 5 hours, not on film, because you got to constantly move the camera around, and you got to make sure the angle is right, and you got to show everything, and you got to talk about everything that you're doing instead of just getting in there and doing it. So, and the other thing that YouTube has done to me is I now talk more with my hands. My mom comments on that all the time, but I'm like, well, when you're on camera, you got to have motion, you got to have stuff moving. So now I talk with my hands. I'm an honorary Italian, I guess.
After about my second or third video, I had someone say, "Stop waving your hands around."
I feel like I've been doing that in this video a lot, but it's true. That's how I talk.
That's how I talk
too.
too.
In the chat, Panzer brought up a great point, going back to kind of that Patreon conversation that we were having, and the idea that he supports unique creators and kind of fresh content and that kind of stuff. And there was a comment about not seeing a channel as necessarily being unique when it relies on a supplier to provide the subject matter. And I thought that was a great point, because going back to that Maker Faire panel discussion that they had, I believe there was a question that came from the audience maybe about, how do you get into it? And almost to a person on that panel, they commented, look at the comments for somebody's video, find a question that's being asked over and over and over again, and look to answer that question for people, right? If you can continue to do that, you're going to have that unique content that people are going to continue to search out. I sometimes wonder, and I know I'm now kind of talking for, not talking for Lauren, but we've had the discussion. She's had the discussion. Well, she had it with me, because if she had it by herself, it would have been weird, and I would have interrupted anyway. But there's been a discussion in the house about, does she want to keep doing review videos, build and review videos? And she really, I think, wants to move away from that particular area, because you can see different takes for builds, you can see different takes for reviews. They're not things that'll necessarily stand up over the course of time. CR10 was huge, is still a big printer. Something else is going to come along. The MK3 is going to be out. I don't know. Yosef said something about shipping in November. I don't know when it'll actually ship, but my guess is you're going to see a ton of videos on the MK3 come out as well, and then the next printer, and there's going to be a ton of videos on that. And so I think you end up with these short-term floods of the market around very similar content, when in reality, I think people are going to, are people going to be looking for a video about the MK3, 6 months from now, 9 months from now, 2 years from now? A review of it. I don't know that for sure, but if you can answer questions about, I'm just going to pick something simple like unclogging a jam in a printer, that's something that people are going to continue to look for over and over again. So I think, in my mind, that's the idea, that unique content. It's unique, yes, but it's something that's going to stand the test of time. And I think if you can produce that unique content that's going to stand the test of time, you're going to have those people who are going to subscribe. You're going to have those people who are going to keep coming back.
Nick, you hit it on the nail on the head. I originally started producing YouTube content with no even clue that it was going to go to where it has right now. In fact, I had a YouTube channel, and I just started throwing videos on it because I was part of the Folger Tech Facebook group, and the same question kept getting asked over and over and over again. So instead of typing it out and keep on the cycle, I just decided to make a video, and then I could post a link to that video each time. And then I got a lot of positive feedback for that, so I started going around the different forums and seeing the different videos that are different needs that people were looking for in these Facebook groups. I started making more videos about that, like how to calibrate ease steps, how to, apply build surface, how to, whatever, boat inverses, direct drive, or direct feed. And then, with the Octoprint series, I saw all these tutorials, these single 10-minute tutorials that really assumed a lot of domain knowledge from the user. So people really thought, okay, so this, I don't know a thing about Linux, but they want me to type in these commands. What are these commands doing? It's like, dig in, go beyond just the setup and go into webcams. Let's go into plugins. Let's go into remote access, all this other stuff that people ask over and over and over again. And finding the cracks, I think, is the best way I've described it. Just find the crack and fill the crack.
Yeah, and I think that's in my mind, that's the smart thing to do, Joe, because if you're doing that, that's what people are going to come back to over and over and over again. When I was messing around with Crispy, who's sitting back there with a number of things still needing to be done to it, there were several videos.
Crispy, is that what you call that thing now?
Crispy. Yep, it's Crispy. There were several times that I was going to the same videos over and over and over again. Bill from Punished Props did a great video on, the upgrades that he did. I was over there watching Joe 3D Maker Noob's videos on what he was doing there. So it's those things that, did I need to watch a review of the ANET? No, I knew what I was getting when I got it. Did I need to watch videos that answered questions about how to make this thing safer so that I could run it from the other room and not worry about burning down Lauren's studio? Yeah, that was probably a smart idea.
Yeah, and that's kind of the approach that I'm taking with this Tarantula. I don't know what, GearBest doesn't really say, hey, we want you to review this unit. They just say, hey, we want to give you this unit and see what you think. So what I think about it is that the Tarantula could use a lot of work. And so what I'm doing in this video that I'm going to be shooting for it, I've already done all the legwork. I've printed out just about every single upgrade. I think it needs to function at what I would consider a good functional level. And that's what the video is going to be about. It's going to be about, here are the things I like about it out of the box. Here are the things I don't like about it out of the box. Here is how you fix the things that I don't like about it out of the box and that you might not like about it out of the box. Here are the upgrades I printed. Here's how I installed them, and this is why I did it this way. And just kind of give them a better idea of, hey, if I'm going to order this thing, these are the kind of things I need to look out for, but there are remedies to it, kind of deal.
Yeah, I think like for my videos, the most popular video I have is a video on me installing a Noctua fan on my printer, and the second most popular video is of me creating the enclosure out of IKEA furniture to keeping the noise down of the printer, because I have it in my living room. So if it's beneficial for the users to see how you can improve your printer or something related to the printer, that will be a popular video. But for me, getting the Prusa just a few months ago, it made no sense to create a review of the printer because there are so many reviews. And yep. I think Angus said about the CR10, people were asking him about why don't you do a CR10 review, and he just told everybody, I have nothing to add to it. There have been so many reviews. There's no need for me to tell you the same things everybody else has told you about.
Yeah. Where'd you get the furniture from?
Yeah, it's a IKEA furniture.
Is that what we call IKEA down here in the States?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's probably the proper.
Yeah. I like that pronunciation a lot better. And I just installed
I was going to say, it sounds so much better when Martin says it.
Everything sounds better when Martin says it.
Yeah. Thank you.
This video is sponsored by IKEA. I'm just just letting you know.
I have become obsessed with these Noctua fans. I just put one on the Bluza that I'm building, and I've been putting them everywhere. They are seriously silent.
Which one did you use? Which fan did you use?
It's just a 12-volt, 40 millimeter.
Is it the 8.2? The 20 millimeter depth?
No, NFA4 times 10.
NFA4.
That's the 10 millimeter thickness. Yeah. I got one on my. I put one on my A8 too because I was tired of the.
Okay, good.
Fan
so I'll order those now.
Yeah,
I need two. I need two of them for two different prices.
As soon as I put it on the FT5, which is the one that experienced the meltdown. But the fan was completely silent. I could only hear the stepper motors, which are quiet already because they've got the silent sticks on it, and then the not the part fan, the power supply fan. I would hear popping on and off every now and then. But other than that, like the fan on the Titan Aero that's on that thing was absolutely silent because it was a Noctua, and I love the design of that little bracket that comes off the side.
Can you post the Thingiverse for that?
I can.
It's funny.
Video on, and I'll watch it, or I'll watch Martein's video.
I may do a video on the Bluza.
Okay.
Everybody always kind of poo-poos the cost of the Noctua fan. They're like, oh, they're so much more expensive, but one, they're quiet. Two, they last forever, and three, the packaging.
Look at this. Look at this. This is the packaging it comes in, and it comes with all these adapters.
Cables. Yep, absolutely.
And not to mention that the entire fan is not only heat shrinked, but it's got this anti-cut coating covering on all the wiring, and the connectors are all like high quality, top notch. It comes with fittings, comes with splices. It's amazing.
I'm actually showing. I bought 4 Noctua fans for my Fallout case. This is something you actually haven't really seen except for one of my videos. I actually did custom logos for it. But this is actually one of the design elements. So it's using Noctua fans, since they're brown, to actually be the functional intake fans for my computer that actually blend into what looks like the refrigerator part of the Nuka-Cola case.
Nice.
So if I turn the LEDs off, you can't really see it, but those little Noctua fans are actually back there, and the whole computer.
That is baller.
They're actually, so they're full on right now. They're all 100% on, and I'm actually running folding at home nonstop. It's 100% CPU usage and GPU usage, and I have no cooling problems. And it barely is. It's like maybe 40 decibels total. Like it's barely nothing. Like for the quiet, but I spent like maybe $80 on fans.
That case is really, really cool, dude.
Yeah, I have a video on my YouTube channel, and I've had some pictures on a couple different gamer websites and stuff. And Reddit was my front page of Reddit, which was cool. But yeah, it's really cool to have. I've actually the case, but everybody tells me not to sell it because it's like the coolest thing, and I really appreciate it actually every time I look at it. So like that's my pride moment of that. But I even if I sold that computer, I wouldn't sell it for like, I can't even imagine how much I would actually sell it for. But it's on Thingiverse. If anybody wants to build their own, it's on Thingiverse. Creative Commons license. Go print it yourself. But that's what I like about open source, is that you can still share a lot of information, but you can still make money off of it. You know, and I think Lulzbot is probably one of the biggest ones that I know of that have actually made a profitable business with open source hardware. And I got to go on a tour of Lulzbot. They're in Denver, or actually Loveland, and I was out in Denver, and then I drove up an hour north to Loveland to actually tour their factory, which was really cool to see. Lulzbot's factory. If you have a chance to go to Colorado or Denver area and go up there, it's worth taking their tour. But you know, I don't know if anybody has experience with that, but I like the idea, like Prusa is making, you know, a pretty good, I would imagine, profit off of, but still having open source, you know, hardware, and China's trying to clone his stuff, you know. So I think we can kind of have both worlds, you know. But yeah, I don't know if you guys have any experience with like open source software, open source hardware, making revenue off of that, like designs you made or anything like that. I know it's kind of a tricky world because everybody wants to patent and, you know, protect their IP, but they also want to make money off of it, and I think that's a big part of it. Let's just watch Joe like working on his printer.
What?
In silence.
with his face right in the camera.
Sorry. You guys want to, like, here, I'll show. So, like I said, I was doing the MK2S upgrade to this thing, which is when I broke the nozzle off the hot end. But I decided to reprint all the parts in blue and call it the Bluza. Ha 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 ha. I've even got the LCD is now in its blue case. As those of you who may not know, I might be a little obsessed with blue. Just a touch. I regret nothing.
Nor should you.
Or should I? It's right. Anyway, that's, yeah.
No, I've always said that Joseph should have made it where you could order your Prusa in whatever color you wanted. I mean, I know that they were having a hard enough time keeping up with demand in just orange, but You know, I would have liked to have had a black and yellow one, but it's all right. I got a black and yellow AM8, so.
Well, now you
Reprint
can
the
use
parts.
the printer to print its own
Yeah,
parts.
reprint all your parts.
No, I'm not going to take that thing apart just to change the color. I put a yellow Fun King on the front of it. That's all I needed.
It's so simple. It actually comes apart and back together so much easier than the initial build. Like I can't describe it.
Yeah.
But like
I just did that to this printer. This printer actually has a black extruder because the entire extruder got the plastic all over it, and it basically wedged itself into the extruder body. So I had to reprint the whole thing.
And you know it like you know it intimately now. So I mean, it's like
yeah.
It's
and
not
it's only a
big deal.
year old, right? So I mean, for being a year-old printer, I'm surprised I've only had to build the extruder once.
Yeah. It's
you know, I'm sure the FT5 has its own.
I don't even want to talk about the
replacing
FT5
everything.
right now.
But yeah, we're talking about the Lulzbot as well. I mean, Lulzbot, when I toured their facility, and I actually have a friend that works as one of their R&D engineers, and they're really committed. Like they use Linux, I think Ubuntu for all their computers. All their design is done in FreeCAD or OpenSCAD. And same with Prusa, is like everything down to like every part of their tool chain can be open sourced, even like the jigs and everything that they use.
Yeah, watch Tom's video on open source, and you can see all the different companies' stances on open source. And towards the end there, he talks to them about what open source tools they use. And yeah, a lot of them use a lot of open source tools, so that's cool.
And I think to still protect your copyright, you still have to protect your branding and copyright, which I think is what a lot of open source hardware manufacturers still do, just to make sure that somebody's not totally ripping you off. They're only using your open source designs moving forward, instead of copying your branding and basically your entire company.
Yeah, you always have to give credit to the creator, even though it's open source. Even though you don't have to pay money to the creator, you always have to give credit back to him. So.
Yeah, and
Nick, have you had any problems with like copyright protection and anything like that?
No, surprisingly enough, that's especially when people started saying, "Oh, Disney ears, that's going to be a huge problem. Disney's going to come down on it." Da 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 da. Lauren actually had some unique insight on that because she was able to do an externship at Disney back when she was in culinary school, and really kind of got to know the Disney culture in the time that she was there. And I know leadership in the organization changes and the company changes, so on and so forth, but apparently the way that Disney has looked at this whole thing is it's fan art, and they've been supporting and supportive of it as long as it doesn't necessarily cross a line or it doesn't get in the way of them making profits. But I gotta find it hard to believe that an Etsy shop is going to get in the way of Disney making profits. I mean, let's face it, everybody go see the new Star Wars coming out in December.
But buy the Star Wars themed Mickey ears.
But let me throw in my 2 cents about the Big D, being that they're my neighbor. But a friend of mine actually had an embroidery business, and he went to an auction in Ohio and bought out. There was an embroidery company in Ohio that went out of business because they landed a Disney contract, like was awarded it through Disney, began to make the merchandise, and they didn't have the proper paperwork filed with Disney to be licensed, and Disney shut them down, completely put them out of business, bankrupted them. So Disney can get just like a little bug in their ear, and then so just be careful. I mean, I don't know.
Oh no, absolutely, Glenn. I totally agree with that too. And look, it's always a concern, which is why the LLC was formed. Let them. Yeah. Worst case scenario, we get a cease and desist, and okay, we got to move away from that particular area. Lauren has to move away from that particular area. I do think God, I'm not a lawyer. I wouldn't even pretend to play one on TV. You know, I do think if you got into a contractual situation with Disney and you weren't able to file the paperwork that they needed or weren't able to fulfill it, I could see that being a much bigger problem. In this case, I would imagine cease and desist orders would come first, and then kind of be like, yeah, okay, we don't need to go head to head with them. So
Yeah, that's very possible. It just seems really dirty to me that they would award that company the contract and then not work with them to get it taken care of in the long run. Just completely.
Yeah, no,
and oddly enough, my friend's name is Mitch, but it's not you, Mitch. But he said when he went there to the auction, like they were going room to room of this building, and they'd unlock the CEO's office, they'd push the doors open, and they go, "What do you bid for this room?" I mean, they were just selling off just everything in the company. He bought a semi truck trailer full of, well, he bought a huge, like a 16 head embroidery machine, and then like just tons and tons and tons of blank shirts and stuff. So yeah, they took that company for everything. So and that's always just, I'm not a big D fan anyway. You know, like they always play dirty. So, but yeah.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Look, I'm not a fan of most of corporate America, so
I would just like to have what they intake in parking for one day.
There's your independently wealthy.
Nice.
Yes,
so we actually have you do it. I'm sorry. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Mic check.
You're good.
All right. Yeah. Hi, everyone. It's you do it. I don't want to introduce myself because we're in the middle of the stream. Sorry for joining late. I was at a party.
You still have to
Glad you joined.
Oh, right. Someone who gets invited to parties. Oh, yeah. Come rub it into our head.
So I like that I think everybody now in the stream has a Prusa in their frame.
You're right.
Yeah. Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah? Oh, no, Marteinn?
Yep.
Well, everybody here has one.
We're not sponsoring them at all. I mean, you know, Joseph is cool and all, but you know, this is not product placement.
Prusa's not sponsoring us. We're sponsoring Prusa here.
Yeah.
I
He wants to give me a Mark III because I had the idea first, you know.
I think Joseph needs to hop on over to Patreon and start supporting us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's my Prusa printing.
There we go. So everybody in this shot has a Prusa that's functioning or not functioning, or both.
Mine's in, what's it?
And most of us have maker boxes sitting somewhere in the area.
Oh, I always have Maker Box back there. I'm a big Nick and Kevin fan. I love the Maker Box. Those two guys are just super cool. So
Okay, I might have to get one if you guys have a code or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't forget Matt either. Matt Gordon over at Printed Solid. He puts
Printed Solid. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. He's part of the family now too. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just a little pitch, if you happen to get one from Printed Solid, you're probably going to get business cards in there for the ERF 2018 event.
Which everybody should get those business cards.
Yep.
The last box came with some pretty nice filament samples, which I dug. I'm sorry. They all come with.
John and I have ours. Where's the rest of you?
We want to post a link
right
in
now.
the description.
Hold on. You don't want me to get the number of ERF cards that I have sitting around.
There's no competition. I can't compete with that.
I don't know if these SLA printers, do we get a resin of the month going somewhere?
Yeah, and
it's $100 a liter.
Yeah. No, it's 100. It's the subscription price for that one is $50 a month.
Yeah.
That's not cheap.
They give you I think 100 milliliter bottles would actually be a pretty decent amount as samples.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right now, yeah, it's just, we got in the maker box, our nice little color samples here. It'd be nice to have a way to get just a small ball. It doesn't take much resin inside of these vats to do a print. So yeah, a small bottle is all you need to go, yeah, okay, there's the sample. Thing is looking out there, there's not a ton of resins out there yet. And some of the resins are very specialized. Your dental resins are, $255 a liter. And I don't need dental resin, thank you very much. So the selection is not wide right now, but I imagine that will change with companies like Biopoly coming out with this Moya, and there's others in the works. Just the detail, I'm sitting here staring at the sample ring that I just printed out, and looking at the small holes and the fact that this thing's smooth. I'm gonna love doing this, and yes, I know definitely some of the train work I have, this will just meet the need perfectly. So I'm really excited about that. Right now, just as we've been talking, I've never used Cura before, so I have to learn how to use Cura. And got a horse I want to print and get some supports in there, but haven't figured out how yet.
I like Cura now because they're beginning to integrate into a lot of things. I mean, you got Octoprint actually has Cura engine.
But it's still the
everything.
Old Cura engine.
Yeah, Matter Control has a Cura engine in it. And that's the thing, they update them, and I haven't used Cura since 2.1 or something because I got really frustrated that they got rid of a lot of the pre-made profiles. But since Simplify 3D, but I mean, I wouldn't support Simplify 3D because I feel like they haven't really done enough for the amount that you paid for it to really justify it. But it's the only slicer I use.
Well, I've already bought it, so I might as well use it.
Yeah, I know. I bought it. Why not use it and use Cura when Cura does some things. But I mean, you almost have to use all the slicers, even though you bought.
Yeah.
But again, the profit and loss, you just lost $140 to maybe gain a little bit by having custom supports or something,
No, I just expensed $150.
Oh yeah,
I was gonna say, that's a line item expense. So
yeah, it is a comment. I just looked at the Biopoly site. There's a comment that they're working away at getting a Simply 3D profile built up for it. There's just been some issues with it, so we'll see how it goes. But in the meantime, I'll work away and see if I can get some supports for this horse.
The Palooza is complete, other than a nozzle.
All right,
I need another nozzle.
All right,
and we're good.
Yeah, and Xander has to go to bed. It's Friday night.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's midnight on the East Coast. I'm feeling for Glenn and Xander right now.
Yeah,
so.
And he's got an event at school tomorrow that he's got to go to. So
that's cool.
He's the fall festival's tomorrow, and he's a safety patrol, so he has to go be a cop.
That's good volunteering.
Make a 3D printed hat, cop hat.
That's what you need.
But it would have to be tiny. He has to wear it way up on top of his head.
Oh yeah, get a little,
It has to be funny.
Style one.
I feel like I have a lot more leftover parts than I should.
That's the
So do we want to do our 2-hour extras? Yeah, we keep on going afterwards, but
yeah,
time to go
okay with it.
Everybody to
sure. We can start with Glenn since they have to go, or Xander has to go.
Yeah, he doesn't want to, and he's gonna be sad and stuff.
Well, when you wake up at 7 in the morning and
yeah. So,
But that thing isn't till 10.
Whatever, you were up late last night too. So anyway, I'm Glenn.
When you get to start a print and then go to bed and then wake up and it's done.
Well,
Unless it's a Prusa and your ball of plastic.
I started a print last night and went to bed, and it balled up around my
Yep, I've done that too.
Luckily for me, it ended up peeling itself off of there, and it was just a small mess. But
is it Nylon X?
No, it's Inland PLA.
Then cry me a river. Cry me a river.
$65 a pound Nylon X. You know, that you
just
wasted.
Somebody posted something on Twitter about that.
That was me.
Yeah, I know it was you.
I'm smart enough not to do that, Joe Mike.
Shut it.
No, I was really careful with mine too when I printed, but I only printed one thing, and you know, I'll probably leave mine in an oven to dry now.
Okay, anyways, we're starting the extras there.
Yeah.
All right, so I mean, everybody, I'm Glenn, and
I'm Xander.
And we're fun
And we're tired.
And he's not gonna have any energy tonight. You can find us everywhere at Fun King 3D, YouTube. VidMe. We just signed up on VidMe,
yes.
and we are picking up a tremendous amount of followers on VidMe. It blows me away. And then we were actually verified. They verified our account without me even asking, and I thought that was a little weird. But actually, turns out that it was Evan and Caitlin had talked to somebody over there and got us verified early, which is awesome. Those two are awesome. If you've never tuned into their videos, they are a really fun couple.
Yep.
But so yeah, you can find us now on VidMe and Instagram and Twitch, and we don't stream on Twitch yet, but we'll get there.
Wait, we have a Twitch?
Yeah, we have a Twitch. And I'm still working on all the same stuff that I have been working on. I've got a couple of things coming down the pipeline video-wise, which will be cool. Electronic related. This guy.
I'm working on stalling so I don't have to go to bed.
Well, too bad. He's got Xander's Thing Thursday every Thursday at noon Eastern Standard Time. They've been getting harder and harder to do because he's really stubborn, but we're working on it. We're gonna try.
I watched the last one.
I guess that's all we got. That's all we got. We have a P.O. box now. If you want to send us fan mail, you can go to our website. On the contact page is our P.O. box. It's also in the description of our videos now.
Yeah.
Send us fan mail. It'll make Xander really excited.
Yes. One fan mail equals me having not to go to bed at 12.
No, you still have to go to bed. So, all right. So that's it for us. Everybody say good night to Xander.
Good night, Xander.
Night, Xander.
Okay, so Joe Mike, I guess we can do an outro, or
what?
What?
I think I just swallowed some ABS. I'm sorry.
You're inhaling ABS. It sounds like.
Oh, I'm Joe. For now. Gosh.
If you die on live,
do you need water?
If you die on the live stream, we are going to have the best ratings ever.
I know. I'm gonna have a whole bunch of subs from your death. Oh, I'm sorry.
You give me too much credit.
This video just got demonetized.
Oh, it wasn't monetized because I knew this would happen.
Promoting suicide? I don't think so. That's not suicide. Natural causes, semi-natural.
Yeah, ABS related causes.
Stream.
So what am I doing?
Extra.
Oh, okay. Joe Mike Terranella. I am a builder and destroyer of 3D printers. I have YouTube. I'm looking into the VidMe stuff. I haven't quite gotten on the Twitch bandwagon. I'm apparently allergic to ABS.
I think we all are.
And I just completed my blusa. I'm done.
Okay. Go get some water.
If this goes south, can I do the eulogy for this. I mean, I will thoroughly wear a blue tuxedo to the wake, Joe Mike.
Yeah, it's after midnight, so anything goes, right?
I'm gonna go up. I'll go up and tell my wife, hey, a guy named Nick is gonna want to do my eulogy. Just go with it, whatever. It's cool.
Yeah. At your funeral, I'm gonna bring a bunch of glitter.
I hate you.
Can I have your watch when you are dead, senor?
Already dividing up my stuff?
You know, Joe Mike, this went in a really dark place. I was honestly just going to order a lot of high-five blue filament and 3D print you a coffin. They're all divvying up your stuff.
I fully approve of the 3D printed coffin. See, I don't want you to go, broke doing that. So see if Protopasta will at least sponsor that. Maybe.
greatest eulogy ever.
You would have to print their logo in the
He loved blue filament. He died doing what he loved. This eulogy brought to you by Protopasta and the fine people at whatever printer I happen to use.
It's Disney. It's Disney, so that he can't get a cease and desist.
Yeah, the coffin has to be surrounded by bath bubbles in there.
Oh yeah, the coffin really should be a hot tub or a jetted bath.
Mike just said we could all print a piece of the coffin.
Community build.
That is the darkest community build ever.
Hold on, it was 6 foot Rick at Murph 17, right? So it'd be 6 foot under Joe Mike for Murphy.
Yeah, 6 feet down underground too.
6 foot down. Oh, okay.
Well, make sure it's PLA, so it's biodegradable.
Yeah, right. we want to be good for the environment. Or you know what? Yeah. It's probably easier if you just cremate me, then you don't have to use so much stinking filament.
We'll just put you in a 3D nozzle and
put it in vase mode.
Get it?
Yeah. Can you put cremains into a PLA and make like a cremain-filled PLA?
You know what, Mitch? I want my remain in a nylon X urn.
You'll be a lot stronger then.
No, Mitch wants to actually turn you into filament.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, use the axis into a filament.
Actually, that could be a thing.
You know what? We could totally get somebody to model Joe Mike, and then we'll just put his ashes into a filament at Protopasta, and we'll all
3D scan you now. Yeah.
There'll be high five blue.
Yeah.
High five blue and bye bye Joe blue.
By Protopasta.
By Protopasta. It's blue with a slight grayish tint.
Limited run filament.
Very.
With glitter.
But it's always gritty. I don't understand why it's always gritty.
Hey, you know
what? You're going to clog some of these nozzles someday.
We're going to recommend that you use a hardened nozzle with that.
I was going to say,
nozzle.
There may be small chunks of
your
bone fragment in it.
Clog.
Hey.
Wow, that was like immediately after midnight, and this went there.
I was going to say, well, folks, it's after midnight, so we've entered the dark part of the stream.
If I'm going out, I'm going to take someone's printer out with me. That's all I'm saying.
It's probably going to be the internet that caught on fire.
You know what? I'm just thinking
it's like
about
The Conjuring.
We may not actually have to cremate Joe Mike. I will just start printing with the A-net around his remains, and that should take care of everything.
Yeah. Put a couple TiVos around that, and we should be good.
Yeah. So, Gear,
okay,
if you guys want to sponsor me, we can use your printers for.
Oh, great. We're reaching out to GearBest to sponsor Joe Mike's death. So, again, the eulogy brought to you by Protopasta and the fine people at GearBest.
Oh, that's it. We're never getting anything free from GearBest
now we need the 3D printing death pool.
I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of concerned he's no longer in frame.
That's it. Are you happy now he's dead?
Did we get any of his extra done?
I don't know. All I heard was, I'm Joe Mike, and then it just went downhill.
Oh, man.
Oh, I forgot that we were doing outros.
Welcome to Comedy Hour.
Yes.
Yep.
Hey, we got 18 people.
Okay,
watching
so I
now
guess
we just have to
Marteinn,
knock
if you
off.
wanna-
Yeah, yeah. My name is Marteinn, and I have a channel called 3DP Iceland or 3D Printing Iceland, and I've been printing landscape models and painting, and testing out the MakerBox samples also. But recently, doing landscape models and doing some models in Fusion 360 also.
What's the thing behind you? The model behind you?
Yeah, this one. This one is a scan I did using photos that my wife
That's a
took.
really detailed.
Yeah, she
Using
took
photos.
a lot of photos. I think 100 photos all around me,
Oh wow.
and I created this in the photo scan
Yeah.
software. So.
Did you make a video of how you did that?
No, not the process of it. No.
Oh well, I'd
Then
love
I
to see a
painted
video of how you did that. That's solving a problem that you were talking about.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of videos on how to scan.
Yeah, it's
photo scan too, because it's kind of complicated. I'm sure.
Yeah, it's quite a process. It took many hours to clean up the model, and it's quite a daunting workload also on the computer because it's very high memory usage and CPU usage. So it's quite a process.
Well, very nice. And Joe's seat is empty.
I know, we're gonna have to check on him.
I'm really concerned about him now.
There he is. Yay, he's alive.
Oh, thank God. Oh, that's what it was. The shirt was
Man.
constricting
Man,
his
this
chest.
stream would have been way a lot different if he didn't come back.
His shirt was chafing him, man. He had to go take it off.
Yeah.
I'm classing
That's-
this joint
No, this
out.
is after hours right here. Got water in a wine glass there.
We are 2 steps away from a bathtub, folks.
So
Steps.
why have you not had a bathtub YouTube channel yet? Of just you talking about 3D printing in the bathtub.
I told you I'm gonna do the bathtub vlog at some point.
You gotta start it. You gotta put a Prusa like right next to the bathtub, just teetering on there next to your
Yeah,
and
we-
catch on fire.
I was going to say, and we are right back to his funeral. A Prusa right next to you in the bathtub. That can't go wrong.
Okay. Yeah, because of Mythbusters, if you have if your drain pipe is grounded, as long as the electricity flows from the live to the ground and shorts your breaker before it goes through you, you're okay. I think so.
Yeah, but most bathrooms now have plastic plumbing, so it's not really grounded. So
Right.
you're toast.
Sorry, Mitch, but I'm not gonna test that theory.
Okay. Well,
Sorry.
Mythbusters did it for you.
Well,
But, yeah.
you know, as credible as they are, and all that, and you know, any of you guys watch Electro Boom on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Yeah.
I hope
So-
he fakes a lot of that stuff, obviously.
Oh, he totally fakes all those shocks. He's an electrical engineer, so he knows how to properly shock himself without killing himself. That's half the fun. But I think he did something about the conductivity of water and GFCI outlets. And
I don't want to test it either because who knows?
he was having difficulty getting a GFCI outlet to trip in normal conditions.
Oh.
And he's like, I'm not so sure about these things.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust it, especially for my job. Like I'm dealing with 3-phase 220 up to 3-phase 480, which is like something I do not want to mess with. I check everything with a meter. I touch it with one hand, or try to touch it, without, to have it not go through me, because that's not a fun experience.
You ever have a floating neutral?
Floating neutrals are not good.
No, usually everything's pretty well done.
There's
Especially in industrial
a guy.
environments.
There was a guy who was back when I did HVAC and building automation. There was a guy who was testing a rooftop chiller and hooked up his equipment wrong, and that's a 480 3-phase chiller the size of most trailer park trailers. And that guy did not have eyebrows by the time he was done. I've never seen an arc come off of a contactor like that, and it blew the rest of us back into a little guardrail that we had on the roof, just watching him do this, and I had like a permanent arc scar in my retina the rest of the day.
Jeez.
Yeah, I usually measure each phase to ground. But yeah, there's different ways they're hooked up. I'm still learning about it, but yeah, I don't mess with AC more than what I've been told to do. So,
a friend of mine was a lineman, and they were out working on a job, and a guy went to go into a transformer cabinet that was supposed to be off, and it wasn't, and they ended up having to identify him by who wasn't there. I mean, the guy was just vaporized him. Gone. So yeah, take electricity very seriously.
Yeah, and especially we're dealing with just DC, and I mean that's still if you contact the 12 volts at 10 amps, you're gonna have quite a arc. I'm imagining if you put something like a screwdriver or something across the contacts. I haven't tried it yet, but usually they have fuses on these power supplies, but even then, a lot of these printers have exposed mains, which I still think is scary. that kind of stuff gets shipped out like that.
Yeah, the one thing that I'm not too thrilled about the Tarantula kit. First, when I was looking it over and all that stuff, most of these Prusa clones have like a little tuck away spot for the power supply, and that's great. You still have exposed leads on some of the cheaper Chinese kits, but the Tarantula kit, they don't even care. The power supply is literally just an afterthought. You just set it on the table next to the printer. Yeah. And I'm just scratching my head couldn't you have figured something out with that?
Well,
they have one unhappy cat.
They expect you to print your own enclosure. You have a 3D printer now.
Yeah.
Not with that thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm being unfair.
It's quite nice because it's just a power brick, so you're looked after.
Yeah, I'm liking the power bricks a lot more now that you can get 10 amp or 15 amp 12 volt power supplies, bricks that are about this big. Xbox 360 power supplies, actually, I hoard those because I can use them for pretty much anything. And that's actually what I'm going to start converting my Aris. My CNC Aris is probably going to be converted when I do a heated bed. It's going to be probably a 360 power supply. So yeah, I like fully enclosed power supplies.
I've used a couple of ATX power supplies in the past.
I wouldn't do that. I mean, I've done it for my Mendel 90, which was actually pretty cool having that because it was designed to mount the ATX power supply, and then I just went in, tied all the 12 volts and all the grounds together in the one wire, basically 2 wires. And I think you posted about what gauge wire to use for your bed. Yep. And that's something that's not really explained for a lot of people building rep wraps is what gauge wire to use for your printer stuff. I mean, and there's not really, I don't know of any really offhand knowledge of currents and lengths and resistance and stuff like that.
Well, I do, but I just didn't want to sit down and do the math because I was in bed when I posted that.
Oh yeah, but I only know 16 gauge because that's what I had. And I just thought, well, it's better than having a bunch of 20 gauge wires. I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna go possibly a 12 gauge on the bed, but I want to find the sweet spot where the resistance is low and it can handle the current, but at the same time it's also relatively flexible. The higher the gauge you get, the flexibility of it diminishes incredibly. Also, you have a more chance of breakage at that point, internal breakage of a stranded copper insulated wire.
Yeah. Especially the finer strands, where it's a lot more finer strands instead of, the 8 strand or whatever.
I think I settled on 14 gauge with, I forgot the coating, but it has a very unique coating on it that allows for more flexibility.
Yeah, I did the math for the A8 bed, and with the length being what it is, I could have gotten away with 16 gauge, but I went 14 with the silicone wire so that it's more flexible.
Yeah. I've always, even with this Prusa here, I upped the voltage to about 13.5. And I had to do that on the Prusa because for some reason my heated bed stopped going up to past 90. And so I had to up the voltage to get it to go past 90. And I've been talking to Prusa support about that. We've done all the stuff. That's why I'm replacing the bed wires on it. That's the next step in the troubleshooting process. But everything else is fine. The connector's fine. The bed is fine. The resistance on the bed is where it needs to be. So there might be a possible breakage in that wire that I'm not seeing. I can't get it to trigger on a continuity test or anything like that. So it goes to the machine.
Yeah, the Mendel 90 actually was unique because Chris Knophead, he actually designed it to use ribbon cable with ribbon cable, with D-sub connectors. And so he was able to do it so that it did like match pair, so your signal wires wouldn't interfere with your power, high voltage power, and they actually split multiple, like 3 positive and 3 negative leads or wires into the hot end to distribute the current, load. So it was a unique design that I haven't seen anybody else really do besides I think the what's that expensive printer that's proprietary? All of them. But anyway, I've seen ribbon cables on other like more produced printers, but I'm not sure the bin radius and how resilient ribbon cables are with 3D printers. I just know it's a pretty neat way to do wire management.
I know that you could possibly get away with it because when I started researching cable for the cables that I'm making for to hook up the Pi to the NC board, I was looking at the custom made cables that had the shielding on the pairs on the inside of the cable. So there was a shielding jacket around the entire cable, but even on the inside of the cable, the pairs were shielded individually. So I think if you used a cable like that and you wanted to combine several, why don't I just use that cable?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll just use 14 inch. But
when you're sourcing, especially with RepRap, with RepRap printers where you're going off of somebody's design that, there's so many different mods and variations with even the Prusa mods and stuff like that. Luckily, that's a pretty standard wiring harness that already came with a kit. But if you're trying to figure out how to wire your printer and do all the wire management, and just electronics in general, especially like solid state relays, learning how to properly hook up a solid state relay and what gauge wire to use and what kind of, even the terminals, I've actually had a little bit of not a fire, but started smoking because I used one of those spade connectors, the rounded ones that you screw terminals. And screw terminals alone, I'm not sure if you solder them or not, but screw terminals are a main cause of fires in printers, as far as I know, because you're putting a lot of current through a screw terminal, and it can have a bad connection. And
well, that's it. People either over tighten them or they under tighten them, and you end up with, with the heat, expansion and contraction. You end up with space in there, and then that's when the heat happens and the fire starts. So
yeah, I'm not a fan.
Inherently, ring terminals and spade terminals aren't terrible. There are varying degrees of quality when it comes to those things. So I usually don't skimp when I purchase spade terminals.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Molex connectors. If you get them, they're usually rated pretty well.
Yeah. And there's even varying qualities of Molex as well.
Yeah.
You look at cheap computer power supplies versus the expensive ones, and there's so much play in the Molex on the cheap ones versus the expensive ones. Just quality assurance kind of deals, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. You really dive into part selection, which, you know, working for an industrial CNC company, like, they don't skimp. Especially they're using, you know, like I said, 3-phase power. They have actual contactors made by, you know, German companies, and, you know, all these other kind of, like, everything's made in, you know, either Germany or the US, or, I mean, not that China doesn't make bad stuff. There's actually some really good stuff that I'd probably rely on, and I do. But I think when you're in an industrial environment, like, everything has to be like 100% of the time reliable.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you're dealing with machines that run high current or are mechanical in nature and have parts that, if they failed, could lead to injury or death, there's no skimping. That's just...
That's true, yeah. And that's also why, you know, there's some printers that are way over $2,500. You know, I think they use probably more quality parts, but I think 3D printing is one of the least, you know, industrial. I don't know. Just by its nature, it's not like it's moving heavy equipment. It's just plastic. I don't know. I'm trying to look for this back in the chat history. Keep talking.
Whenever you use industrial equipment, there's the certifications that come with it, which means typically that there's a lot of testing that's performed, and it's a good quality product because of that.
Yeah, but you have to have a whole spool of wire. Or the wire that you use and all the components you have to have a certificate, or else you can't verify it. Yeah.
I want to see if I can
for
post
Siemens
this
for a while.
Yeah, Siemens is a big company about that stuff.
Yeah.
So I just posted a link in the chat. It's to a live feed of my printers at the office. And I just happened to look back. I'm trying to print the JoulBot on my console. And there is a beautiful spaghetti monster coming
Oh my God,
together.
that's great. Can you
Isn't
put
it?
LEDs in it?
I'm just going to let it keep going and see where it goes. It's
Yeah, I
not...
think if
I'm
you put
wondering,
LEDs
so
in it, it'll
YouTube
look
actually
awesome.
lets you do... YouTube lets you do live streams of printers?
Sure.
For
You can live
monitoring?
stream anything. Yeah, there's
Well,
no
Okay, I guess if you
rules
don't need
about
to monetize it, it's actual content.
Yeah, and
you
this
can
is
monetize it.
it's unlisted too. So I mean,
It's unlisted, that's okay.
Yeah, I just give out the link, and I mean that...
Well, now it's listed. I mean...
Oh, from here,
Well-
it looks like a nice Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's like the molecular deconstruction of JoulBot. It's
Yeah.
like
It's
you got...
Joel's DNA, right?
There's an
I-
extra X chromosome or something.
Yeah, his insides are out. So,
That should be interesting to see Monday when I get in there.
Wait, you can't turn it off, or do you not want to?
I'm not going to.
Oh. Wow, you
It's
like
not-
to live life on the edge.
It's not
Right.
collecting on the hot end. It's collecting below the hot end. But as long as it doesn't gunk up that hot end, I just want to see what kind of mess it'll make.
Good thing it's not Nylon X.
And you got 9 people watching this print fail.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm
That's
one of them
impressive.
now.
Like I said with the
I'm going
nylon,
to comment on it.
like I said with the Nylon X fail in the Twitter post, if you're gonna fail big, right?
Yeah.
Fail publicly.
Are you using the Capricorn tubes?
Yeah,
This? How is that working for this Delta?
I love it.
Really? So you have less retraction or anything like that?
I lowered the retraction just a smidge. I mean, being a Delta setup as it is, it still requires quite a bit of retraction compared to direct, but the cap tube does... I noticed that I could lower it down about 1.5 millimeters.
Wow.
And still not get stringing like I was. I also put the cap tube on my Monoprice Mini there too, and it incredibly improved the print quality, I think.
Wow. Yeah, I'm putting it on my Eris as well. It doesn't really matter for the other things, but for the Eris, I was actually wondering if those cap tubes can actually be used as the tube for the heat break of the E3D hot ends, the all metal hot ends.
Yeah, this is
for the
actually...
Prusa.
This is going into an E3D Lite, so it's the full E3D. It's the E3D Lite, and it's going in all the way down to the nozzle. So yeah, you could throw it into the heat break of a Prusa.
So that's what I'm going to do on my Prusa's. Because they sent me an XS model, which is their opaque one.
Uh-huh.
That's dark blue. So I think that's the one you actually use. I was more worried about when you because it's a smaller, tighter tolerance, that if you're retracting, that the plastic has to be pushed through it. Well, is it still molten? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's what my number one cause of jams with a V6 hot end is too high of retraction. It gets up there and it expands and jams.
Yeah.
But with this cap tube, I did a cold pull on it before I left and loaded this guy up, and it just pulled right out at 95 degrees. I just pulled, and the whole dang thing came out. It was the cleanest cold pull I've ever done over the length of an entire Bowden tube.
Well, they're going to be in the link description because we talked about them long enough. And those guys are awesome. I talked to them at Murph. I think we all saw them and talked to them. So, yeah.
I have 5 likes on an unlisted video now. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. But yeah, I hope they're out in the next Murph because they actually their stuff has actually gotten pretty popular recently. So
yeah, E3D
went
them. Crazy. I
mean,
they're like huge fanboys of it. So
yeah, I'm a fan of small 3D printing companies that come out of nowhere. I'm especially something unique. That's the thing, is like everybody's making a Prusa clone. When you make a product for 3D printing that's different, it's pretty awesome. What are the 718 guys, the people that make the custom effectors and stuff for the Rostock Max?
Oh wait, that's
what is it called?
713 or wait
713. I don't know. It's like a zip code.
713 maker. It's an area code.
Area code, yeah.
Missing a couple of numbers there, buddy.
Yeah, it's after midnight for you guys. It's late for me too. But
yeah, niner in there.
And then, did you throw a niner in there?
Yeah, it's gonna be my next company. It's gonna have an imaginary negative, 1 or something.
Yeah, the really cool thing about cap tubes, like I bought the original cap tubes off at Printed Solid, and don't tell Matt, but I got my next set straight from cap tubes because it's a little bit cheaper, and they throw in the Bowden tube cutter. They have this.
Oh, really?
They have a cutter.
That one?
And yeah, that one. That's the one.
Wait, I didn't get one of those. That's
yeah.
Neat.
See, you don't get them sometimes, and I didn't get one. And when you're setting up like especially the E3D Lite 6, you have to have like a super perfect, or else you start getting buildup underneath it, which I actually had that problem, and I actually talked to Sanjay about it with the Mendel 90, because when you put it in the groove mount, the little black cullet gets it gets pushed down, and then the tube swells down here, and it pushes the tube up into the extruder, which did the teeth like grind on it. So I had that issue, and he said to just basically drill out the hole so that you have room for the collet, and then put a clip in there. Yep.
Which I was thinking. I actually asked that question, is if I bought the gold edition hot end, if that collet clip would have enough clearance in the E3 the Prusa extruder body.
I haven't found that I needed it in the Prusa though.
So you don't need the collet clip for the Prusa?
Excuse me. I found that
but it has enough clearance, obviously, for the collet, because on the collet on the regular E3D, it's pretty much all the way down. I've noticed.
Yeah, on the V6, the full V6, when you put the Bowden tube down, it sits at the top of the heat break, right? And then you've got the all-metal heat break, which is why it's an all-metal hot end. For the V6 Lite, the PTFE tube goes all the way from the collet down to the nozzle. And so you got to have like a super flat cut there. You can't have any play. I had just a little bit of play in there, and I ended up with a jam that required me to take apart the entire thing. I actually had to heat up the the heat sink. I had to heat up the heat sink with the heater block without the fan, get the heat sink up to about 200 degrees, then take the heater block off real fast and punch down through to get this huge, massive clot out.
Yeah, that's probably what I had
And-
to do on mine. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, I like that they're $35, and I would probably throw it on a cheap, like a CR10 or something that probably needs a hot end upgrade. Probably not the CR10, but like, you know, an ANET would be great with a, you know, the Light 6.
Well, the cool thing about the Light 6s is they're so easy to upgrade to a full V6. All you need is a heat break and a heat sink, and you're done. So if at any time you feel like you need to go full V6, you can, which is what I'm doing with that printer.
So the Moai, actually, I was going to say that with the making money on printing, and we were talking about like referrals and stuff. So Moai, like, I don't think he's given out printers to anybody, has he?
He gave
For a
one to
review and stuff?
Angus.
Yeah, I saw that one. That was the first one that I saw before
Yeah.
it came out for production. And I saw that Murph, obviously, and that's how I met him. But
I saw another review, and yeah, he sent it out to that fella. I just can't think who it is.
Yeah, he sent it out to maybe, I think, 3 or 4 people. What he was sending out to most of us was the build platforms. So
yeah, I got one
Theopoly-
too, yeah.
yeah, those things, the white ones that he has now,
Yeah.
best build platform I've ever used.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like seriously, it's on both the printers on the stream right now. And
I destroyed mine, though, because of that. My Mendel 90 did not like to easily be adjustable. So I basically had the head dive right into the to the surface.
yeah. Wait, did you have a black one or a white one?
The black one.
The black one, yeah. The white one is actually an improved version. It almost has kind of a fabric feel to it, and it is phenomenal. I'm sure Chris with Practical Printing would back me up on that. But I actually went ahead and ordered 4 more from him, and yeah, I'm gonna actually probably put one on this Prusa, the Blusa, because I think I like the white on top of that to kind of contrast with the blue. Color scheme aside, yes, I'm the guy that likes football teams because of their uniforms. Let's just shut that up. But that print surface is absolutely magic.
Yeah. So Marteinn, if you want to leave, you can say your goodbyes.
Yeah, I just want to say goodbye. I'm going to bed. It's almost 5 a.m. at my
All right,
time.
Marteinn. Good seeing you.
Good talk.
That's a
with
good time
everyone.
to get up, not go to bed.
Yeah, I think I'll sleep in tomorrow morning. Or this
Yeah.
morning, I guess. Yeah, so see you later.
All right, bye.
See you, Marteinn.
Bye, Marteinn.
So now that it's like really late at night, now we can talk about making money by printing adult toys.
It's funny because every time in like one of the Facebook groups, somebody will say something like, "Does anybody make a flesh tone flexible filament?" That's right. That's right where everybody goes too.
One time use only. That's all I can say.
I'm not sure. I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there at all.
Bathtub special. Bathtub special.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, you can bring that up.
I'm happily married and don't require the use of such trinkets.
Oh, no. I was implying you could review them sitting in the bathtub. Maybe candlelight, a glass of wine, you know.
Yeah,
I see. Yeah, because that won't be awkward at all.
Well, no more awkward than you being in a bathtub on a stream, you know.
I was gonna say.
Okay, can we just agree that I can pull that off?
Yeah.
Oh, no question about your ability to pull it off. I
Okay,
mean, that's
thank
just
you.
impressive.
Is that pulling it off the bed after it's printed?
No, that's me pulling the bathtub streams off.
I think it's funny, Practical Printing saying, "Is the Moai resin dishwasher safe?"
Ouch.
Yeah, that is practical though. No,
There's
but it's actually something I've actually discussed with my friends because we're all makers. So we've all considered like the logistics of 3D using a 3D scanner, you know,
No,
privately.
Just no. No.
Just no.
I can publicly say that I have never had that thought.
No.
Nope.
Okay. Well, this is a different kind of YouTube channel. If you guys want to subscribe, I'll bring more content if you're interested.
You know that discussion we were having earlier about finding that niche, answering a question, and then going on YouTube? This is not what we were talking about, Mitch.
Oh, okay.
There might be a niche for that.
Start putting a not safe for work on my YouTube channel, I guess. Or switch to Twitch, I guess.
You're gonna have to find a couple of other websites, methinks.
Yeah.
I was just looking for the site, couldn't find it, unfortunately. But last time we talked about filaments, one of the filament suppliers was showing beautiful skin tone filament, and the pictures they had were rather interesting for that. And that was on their banner, but appears to be gone now.
That's Filamentum, wasn't it?
Is it Filamentum?
I can't remember, but that's who I'm thinking. Yeah, they were
Capricorn.
posting pictures all over Facebook, and
John Mack said Xtube.
I want everyone who's watching this stream right now, I want you to go to Thingiverse, and I want you to find I forgot how they name them. They don't name them adult toys. They name them like
Christmas tree and egg holder.
stuff like that. Yeah. Go out and find those, and then tweet it with the F3D.
I don't want to do
that. Put a hashtag on that thing, and we'll see what we can find.
The worst thing I do is I say shit, and I spell it SIHT publicly in Twitter and everything. That's the worst I'll say.
I like practical
low poly Christmas tree.
Oh no!
If you look up, it's just like looking up pawn on Thingiverse. There's a whole chess set.
Butt plug.
Yeah, there's also those too. But again, one-time use only. I would not reuse 3D printed parts. Yeah, body work.
Oh my God! No, we're going.
Yeah, candlestick. I like the one as a pickle holder. That's the one.
Okay,
you print it with
3D turkey baster.
Yeah.
Right.
If someone prints one of these things out of Nylon X and then inserts it on video, I will give you $20, and I'm not even.
I was thinking about that because I know the Nylon X is rough.
Thank you, Glenn. That's exactly what I was thinking.
I'm just saying, man.
I mean, you just need a hard nozzle, though. That's the thing.
I mean, I honestly, I should have been thinking I have morals and ethics and a higher standard than that. But no, I was thinking $20 isn't even going to cover the Nylon X to print this thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Stuff's like printing with gold.
It is, and that's why I don't use it that much. It's in my box.
Especially not for that.
Yeah, no, and definitely not for that.
Wait,
we got a math right here.
Wait, it's $40 now.
It's up to 40. Hold on now.
Wait. Is this like a Joel Telling streak where he gets like $1,000 donated to him?
I will donate this to a children's charity. I'll go that far. You want me to...
Okay, there you go. I'll just mail it to Joel's Friday mail. And not explain where the money came from.
This came from one of our streams. Don't ask any questions. Just take it.
Yeah.
Just put it in the Mario cube and keep your mouth shut.
Just give him the thing number, but don't say what it is. No.
By the way, wear gloves when you touch it.
If somebody's gonna go back and watch this.
Boy, those 3D printing guys are sure nice. And then they get to this hour.
Yeah. Then they're like, now unsubscribe. Sorry.
I do feel like everything went downhill when Joe Mike took his shirt off.
Hey, I put on my my tank top. That means it's
show off those tattoos. So. Do you have the open source logo? That's what actually I'd probably get one of those because of Joseph. But
I don't yet. I've got open hardware and open software that are going here and here eventually.
Cool.
But I'm poor right now because I do 3D
guys
printing.
know in the chat, Panzer is saying that he's tempted to put up some real money to call the bluff.
I'm not trying. I'm just gonna say that
The topic for the night was making money from 3D printing. So.
Yeah,
there you go.
This is on topic.
We're on topic. Okay, here's the
I might
deal.
actually.
Well,
know people
hold
that would
on, hold on. We might be on topic. We are definitely off theme.
I don't know.
There was a theme.
Tony just said these nerds seemed completely normal 20 minutes ago.
I have some Nylon X, so if someone wants to put up some real money.
Right up to the point until my kid went to bed, and then everything just.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure Xander was out of the room. I hope he just doesn't watch the recorded version of this. So
Yeah, the longer he doesn't know what a butt plug is, the better.
A button plug?
You got it.
yeah, button plug.
Button plug.
Low poly
It's
Christmas
just like
tree.
the Richard Posterior model that I like printing.
Posterior.
Richard Posterior. Yeah.
Hey, it's up to 4 figures on here.
Yeah,
now.
we're talking 4 figures if it goes to charity.
No, Panzer mistyped that. 4 fingers. He meant 4 fingers, not 4 fingers.
I mean, there's some hand models on Thingiverse. I'm just saying.
God.
What do other people do on Friday nights? Yeah.
No, this is about what I do. It's just I'm not on camera when I do
Maybe
this.
he's talking about like 4 action figures.
Yeah, there
hey.
Depends on the
if they're in
action
the box or not.
Some of those are, worth a good amount.
Yep.
Well, hold on. Are we talking the old like 5 1/4-inch GI Joes, or are we talking the most recent print by Uncle Jesse, which was what, like the 22-inch Hulk figurine?
Yeah.
That's actually pretty cool.
Which
I don't
if you
want
didn't
something
see
that I can
Ragnarok,
print.
oh my god, you got to see
Trust me,
Ragnarok.
if there's one thing I do know.
Oh my God, we saw it last night at
Don't
like,
spoil
9.
it.
It was
no.
awesome. I'm not going to say
Not
anything
saying
about it.
anything.
It was just, I will say it is my favorite Marvel movie.
Really?
Yeah,
Yep.
like far and
Very
away.
good.
I've been hearing that quite regularly, actually. So
Yep. Go see it.
I will. It won't be like Dark World where I wait for it to come out and rent it.
Oh yeah,
On
no, you can't
Redbox.
do
Dark
that. Oh,
World.
God.
Dark World was just kind of.
It's just Disney figures to infinity and beyond. Oh, this is just
Wait, did I just get that?
Hey,
Wait, now you're gonna get a cease and desist using it in that context. So,
you've got a friend in me.
God.
No, stop.
I got a snake in my boot.
Somebody did poison the water hole.
Not okay.
Well, this is my most popular YouTube video now, so I'm glad this is on it.
Well, apparently we haven't crossed any lines because there's no thumbs downs yet.
Yeah, we've been doing good around walking around
Disinvited thumbs down.
YouTube censorship there.
It doesn't matter. Each one is considered engagement. Thumbs down or thumbs up.
Am I bleeding?
Attention is
I'm
attention,
bleeding.
whether it's negative or positive.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Oh no,
and
Joe Mike's
here's-
bleeding. We gotta. I'm a little concerned now.
oh my god, he's talking about Pickle Rick.
Oh, Pickle Rick.
All right, so there's one thing I want to share with everybody. I would like to start a movement amongst ourselves where if we post a video, we have to comment on everybody's video. And the reason why I'm saying this is that apparently engagement has a lot to do with the algorithm and helping to promote and get a video to show up higher. So if there's a video that you think is a good signature video of yours, share it with everyone and ask everybody to throw a comment and the like, because each one of those things, and when you reply back and start a conversation, so do that, pick a video, share it with us, and then we'll all comment on it.
Hack the planet.
Yeah, I started seeing that on my.
That seems like a good idea to me. And part of the conversation that you had missed earlier, Nick and I were back and forth on Patreon, and we're just all going to. We're no longer going to support each other on Patreon. We're just going to say that we support each other on Patreon.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
because we're tired of giving Patreon money for doing nothing.
Yeah.
You guys have to find my Patreon. That's my challenge. There you go.
No, we only have to say we found your Patreon.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Are we going back to
So
the
for
previous
$5,
conversation,
for
or is
4,000 or 4 figures, that's my Patreon goal for 4 figures. Is
So it's way up there.
4 fingers for your Patreon?
Yeah, so it's yeah, so you're gonna get a private Patreon session.
No.
Just
I think I might be.
No, because he's gonna hold me up on that too.
All right.
Anyway,
I'm going to try to remove this heat break from the nozzle that was nylon dexed. So if I
let's see how we
scream,
do.
so
That's
if you
fine.
bleed or get burned, we can
Okay,
watch it on live.
Lock Joe Mike up so we can see it.
Just don't keep your thumb
There you
at
go.
the
I'm just
area
gonna
where the
Set you
where the
up.
needle nose pliers collapse together, because I've done that so many times. You squeeze the pliers and your thumb gets caught right in between where they crush.
Yeah, I've done that too.
Oh, it's so painful.
No, aren't you gonna strip the threads though?
yeah, it's messing with threads.
I'm just going back to, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all coming to this very somber event put on by Proto Pasta and the people at GearBest. Joe Mike is in the process of.
But we'd like to take this opportunity to point out that this has a silver lining, because now we know Nylon X is toxic when entered directly into the bloodstream.
Yeah. So Matter Hackers being in California has to put that label, the cancer label.
Although,
warning.
To be fair, we're all going with this could potentially kill Joe Mike. What if Nylon X into the bloodstream makes some kind of superhero out of him?
Oh,
We're gonna call you Joe Mike X.
Then the whole dang roll is going into my bloodstream.
Yeah.
But that's the mistake that the villain superheroes always make.
That's true.
They go too much.
Too much of the good thing. Oh, this is not budging at all. I'm just going to cut it with a loose razor blade that I happen to have, because this is safe.
Oh, no.
Oh, this is not going to end well.
Do you have any leftover blood from Halloween?
I'm going to head off for the night.
All right, Zidim.
It's been good, and
Cool.
yep.
Yeah,
Good
okay.
on Tom.
You sure you don't want to stick around for the blood?
No, I've seen enough of that. I used to
For
watch
the conversation, stay for the blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
no.
thanks for joining us, Richard.
It's been
of
fun.
course, you've been on a lot of the streams too, and
Yeah. And hey, I got the first prints off the Moe. So.
yeah, that's actually really cool.
There you go.
How's the current print though? You were doing another one?
Well, I just did a second ring, and I was working on within Cura trying to get some supports on a horse, and those supports aren't working yet. So I have a
So the
learning
sports
curve
are hard to get
Cura.
rid of.
So well, these are here's what it looks like coming off the print bed with the. You can see how the supports are in there. This is the sample they send you.
Yeah.
If you fully cure it, it should be able to snap off, I think.
Yeah, well, that's here it is with the supports taken off.
Oh, that's not bad. That's pretty good.
Yeah, no, it turned out quite well. I can't really see how.
But it's just slicing. It's slicing the model in Cura. That's the challenge, right?
Yeah, exactly. Especially since what I want to be printing are, and I just broke it again, these horses.
Oh wow!
And
is that on FDM or is that on?
That's FDM, and the legs do not.
Wow. Oh yeah, they're thin.
So they're very.
That's amazing. You got that quality out of it.
So
what? Aren't you supposed to use a different app for supports for SLA?
You can use Mesh Mixer.
Yeah, that's the one I was
they
thinking.
show us Mesh Mixer and going into Cura. So it's a process I have to learn. So that's coming up next. I'm happy that I got it together. It's an easy kit to build, and It prints very nicely. So this is going to be fun.
Cool. I'd like to see where that goes because there's a few of us with Mo eyes, I guess, and it's interesting to see how our different takes on it.
Yep. So, anyways,
hey, Richard, before
have a good night.
wait.
Wait.
I want to get a selfie with you, but you have to keep talking.
Oh,
Now, I have a. Let's see. Let me get my camera.
Okay,
I don't know why
here.
it's slow.
I have
There
them
we
on the
go.
main screen,
I'm
so if
looking
you want to take a
for-
picture.
I'm looking for a good
No, it was a
hat.
picture. It was a picture with me and him. Right. So
As I said, yeah, I'm going to try to find a real hat. This hat's costume level, and already it's starting to go at the back. To get a real one, that's $300-400. So,
Or you can print one, right?
Nah, I think I'll go to the professionals for this one.
Yeah.
I believe fabric 3D printers are called looms.
Wait, we gotta see the picture.
okay, yeah. Let me. I don't know if it's going to come out that good. I'll
Yeah, the
tweet it
bright
out.
level is gonna be weird.
Yeah.
Or maybe you could post it with the mention the.
Yeah. I'll just tweet it to
Okay.
Okay.
Richard. Yeah. Thanks, Richard.
Anyway,
Hey. Okay. Have a good night, all.
See you, Richard.
see ya.
I'm covered in this crap now. That's what she said.
What, blood?
There's a little bit of that in there.
That's also what she said.
I knew you were
Yeah.
going to do that. Nick.
I feel
It's just
I'm
a good
now the
setup,
most
Joe Mike.
that I've gotten this far.
It's scary how we think to so very, very close.
Yep. Scary,
Oh, look at this.
awesome.
That's right. Did we just become best friends?
Want to go do kung fu in the basement? In the garage? Could totally bunk our beds, Joe Mike. There'd be so much more room for activities.
Yeah, there would be.
Okay, so it's basically midnight central, so I'm gonna probably cut the stream.
Alright.
But we can stay after and have our inappropriate time.
But before you cut that,
Oh, yeah.
Whoa. Okay. You cannot throw that out on the stream and then say, good night, everybody. You need to clarify stuff like that. Jeez.
listen, don't cut it yet. There's
Okay.
there's
We'll go
there's
through our-
chatter in the chat, and I just want to kind of, because I touched back on the Patreon thing,
Yeah.
so now it's
Yeah,
starting
thank
to
you,
roll
Glenn.
again.
Okay.
I just want everybody out there to understand. I'm not saying not to use Patreon. Use it. Support the creators that you love. Support the creators that give back to you. What my point is in the conversation that Nick and I had earlier was, if I give Nick $1 and Nick gives me $1, the only person that has ended up with any money is the people that own Patreon.
Right.
It is literally vapor money. It is putting money in the garbage can, and it's crazy dumb of us to do that. So, and knowing that I want to give money to Nick, but I'm also supporting 20 other creator, and Nick wants to give me money. It's stupid. We're putting money in the garbage can. So as a content creator, we're saying don't use Patreon, but still announce to the people that we support one another in much the same way. But our viewers, if you guys want to support us, we are never going to turn that down. That money always helps. It always helps to get more content and more stuff out there, and to cover all of this. And did I cover that good?
Yeah, and I think that's so. Panzer's making that exact point. Then don't do mutual Patreon supports. That's exactly what Glenn was just talking about, Panzer. Yeah. The idea that we do want to support one another, and we all want to support one another, and it's great when we do that, right? But if you're doing it specifically through Patreon, then you're not necessarily getting as much. So I think Patreon is a great idea. I like what Patreon does. I think people who can do the support, it's phenomenal, and it's great. It just the flaw is, yeah, exactly. The flaw is in the mutual support aspect of things.
Yeah, it goes go support. You got it.
Victory!
Yay!
Well,
did you have to heat it up?
And Joel, Rover is talking about the video that Joel did, but he also had a pretty good run on Twitter going about it. And somebody had chimed in, and I'm kicking myself for not writing it down, but they said that there's another service that's like Patreon that does not take the money on a cross support like that. But even then it's still keeping track of all of that, you know. So I mean, the upside to, okay, so I support Joel and Joel supports me. Joel supports me more than I support him, but it's nice because then you get that content, you know. I mean, we're all out there to give our Patreon supporters a little extra. So then we have to take it one step further and say, okay, you know, Nick, you want to support me and I want to support you, but we're not gonna, but I'll still give you access to my early content or whatever. So, I mean, we do have to work around that, but I mean, even if Patreon said, you know, cross support is no longer going to be charged any fees, it's still keeping track of a lot of stuff. Yeah. So support your creators, and creators stop supporting creators. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense for us to be throwing money in the garbage can.
I think if you're, especially Marlon and what's her name for Octoprit? Yeah, Gina. Those are the two, like, I will always support, because even if I don't use it, like, you know, I'm supporting open source development somehow.
Well, and Chris at Practical Printing brings up another point, or a great point. Actually, I think it might have come from Chuck Hellebuck, is what it's looking like. But the argument for the mutual support is that you get access to interacting with other creators, other patrons, in that kind of more intimate setting. And you get access benefits like Angus's Maker Muses model, stuff like that. So again, this isn't this conversation was in no way kind of a discussion about do or don't Patreon, right? It's just that I think the discussion was about bringing to the forefront, look, it's a great avenue. It's an avenue. It can be a great avenue, right? But there are some things that you have to think about with it. And that's, I think, probably where we want to leave the conversation around it. At least that's where I'm willing to leave the conversation.
Yeah, I get access to, like, Barnacules' the Discord chat. Like, that kind of stuff is what I appreciate.
Right.
So then maybe as content creators, we need to get together and go to Patreon and say, look, this is this is ridiculous. Change your ways, you know. They're not going to want to.
No. Yeah, I mean, it's like every website. As long as they got your data and they have your advertisement money or your percentage of your money, or they still got to pay for their servers. I mean,
well, that's the other thing too, Mitch. You bring up a great point. They're a business. They have to make money in order to be able to do this. You know, going back to Glenn's, if I were Right. If I were independently wealthy, then maybe I've got no issue doing this and losing some money on the far end of it as a benefit or as a charitable kind of situation. But they're not. They're in this to make some kind of profit, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly acceptable. They should make some kind of profit off of this. The discussion again just circles back into that, you know, supporters or creators supporting creators. Yes, you're still supporting in some regard, but you're not supporting to the level that you think you may be because of the fees that are coming out of that, so that Patreon can continue to do this service so that other people who aren't necessarily creators can support creators, if that made any sense whatsoever.
Or creators creating, or creators supporting creators who don't support them back. You know, it's not always reciprocal.
Right.
So,
yeah. I think I have all of 0 Patreons. Supporters. I think that's my new goal, is to just keep it hidden.
I think I'm bringing in $7 a month. I think I'm.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Out more than that.
Yeah, if it pays for my MakerBox subscription, then I'll just get up to that point and then.
Yeah, I think Chris over at Practical Printing is, how about we say matched value contributions don't make sense typically, but different value tiers may in some instances. I think that's it. I mean, if you want to whittle down the conversation, I think that's probably it.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I successfully
Joe, Mike, you still got your fingers over there? There it
I
is.
successfully got a screw out of this heater block.
Yes.
Nice. You're getting there. At
I'll
this
have
point,
it done by next year.
Yeah, this is when I just go to Philistruder's website. Philistruder is another good E3D replacement.
Yeah.
So
that's where I traditionally have gotten them in the past until Printed Solid started carrying them, and they lowered their prices on a lot of this stuff.
They're actually really good, but I just can't recommend the Philistruder. Like I bought one for the 3D Fab, and like I'm trying to read the documentation. I try to get it working. It's just kind of janky. Like it's really, really slow. It's great. You could make filament. I just feel like it's not worth it. I don't know.
Yeah, see, we were thinking about getting one.
It's cool, but like when you can buy inland filament for $15 a kilogram, unless you have some special need for it, like unless it's just for fun, that's cool. But like if you're looking to make filament, don't buy a filament extruder.
I like it.
I don't know.
Like
that's my experience.
Don't buy a consumer-targeted filament.
Yeah,
extruder.
right. I mean, there's Filabot. There's Filabot, but that's like $4,000, I think. It might work better.
Yeah, no, I think.
Or you buy an industrial one for like $20,000-$30,000. That's like 30 feet long. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we've got a whole box of scraps that I think we were going to buy it and just mess around with more than anything else.
Yeah, I have to do some tweaks, but I can get it working. It's just I have like 50,000 other projects. I can't get the Philistruder working right now. So, yeah. But the Filiwinder is a cool concept. I printed all the parts for it, and it has like a little laser level to get when it cools down, and then it keeps it kind of the winder actually speeds up and slows down to keep it at a consistent pull speed, so that you get a consistent diameter. Which is kind of a novel way to do it, without running the coolant through a water bath, which I think some places do. They run through a water bath to cool it over a long stretch, and then they have lasers to like consistently measure the diameter and adjust the pull rate and stuff like that. Yeah, filament extrusion is really interesting. I would like to tour like Protopastas or something. Now that Prisa is going to be making his own filament.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. I like the Prisa juice. I think that's the best one. Best name.
Yeah, that does sound good.
It's just going to be orange. Everything is just orange.
Right.
Orange PLA, orange ABS, orange nylon, orange hips.
It's going to be one of those
polypropylene.
It's going to be one of those Archer moments. Look, I've got an orange, and I've got a slightly darker orange, and a slightly lighter orange.
256 shades of orange.
Heater cartridge is out.
Yes.
All right.
And this thing is taking a beating.
Yeah, Joe Mike, you look like you're from what's that movie with Bruce Willis?
Die Hard.
Oh, I was
you look like you're in Die Hard taking a printer.
Best Christmas movie ever, by the way.
John
right
McClane.
now he has
Totally
his feet in the carpet, barefoot in the carpet.
Totally agree.
Yep, John McClane.
My wife and some of our friends, we do movie nights and alternate houses, and we have themes. So we've like gone through Lord of the Rings, we've gone through Star Wars, we've gone through Harry Potter, and we're going into Christmas movie season. So everyone got to pick a movie, so everyone's picking like Elf, A Christmas Story, all that stuff. And I was like, mine's Die Hard.
And when I tell people that Die Hard is my Christmas movie, they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Watch it, figure it out. It's a
Nightmare Before Christmas, but
I was going to say this is the time of year, Mitch, where I get confused. I'm just like you. Nightmare Before Christmas. Is it a Halloween movie? Is it a Christmas movie? Is it both? Do I get to watch it all the way through?
Yes. Exactly.
Making Christmas, fa la la.
Yeah. Yeah, if Jack Skeleton had his own 3D printer, you know, he wouldn't have this many problems. I
got this thing.
I still got my Grumpy Pumpkin though in Prusa orange. One of the shades of Prusa orange.
Yes.
I was gonna say, is that lighter orange, darker orange, orange,
That's
orange?
Momentum orange that I wanted to get because it matched the orange with the printer. So everything had to be orange, and now I hate orange.
I've got all this orange that I got with the MK2S upgrade kit that I didn't use because I went blue. So I got to figure out a
So they give you the filament to print your own parts, but they don't print the parts for you.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool. I guess it's just
Until you blob up your heater element.
Yeah, that's ABS though. And so, like, if you don't have the enclosure,
you don't necessarily need an enclosure with this because it's easy print ABS, so it's a little bit.
So it doesn't shrink.
Not quite as it shrinks a little bit. I mean, all ABS does, but this stuff.
But you put the little dog ears on it, and
this is a ABS without an enclosure with the fan on. I didn't know you had to turn the fan off.
Oh yeah, that will do that.
You live and you learn with that one.
But I have a closet actually. This is my 3D printer enclosure. It's just an entire closet that I can put my printers in, and then close the door.
I've just been buying grow tents.
Oh.
Indoor hydroponics grow tents.
Oh, for 3D printing. That's a great idea.
That is a good
Wait,
idea.
I'm going to put that on the list as well for anybody who is not interested in 3D printing.
Hold on. Here, I'll take a look. That is my enclosure for the Mark II.
Holy crap. That's like space.
Yeah, well, I originally bought it for the FT5, so I sized it for the FT5, and I ended up putting the Prusa in there. And I'm
just wondering how much those cost.
Well, the grow tent itself, I think, was about $60, which isn't bad.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
And then I just got a bunch of under cabinet lighting and a 12-volt temperature sensor to mount in there.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, I've been printing ABS.
I might have to get one of those.
Like all these parts on the Bluza, I printed with a bed temp of only 90 degrees centigrade.
Wow.
And didn't have any warping issues or anything because of that stupid thing. So.
Yeah. I think for the D-bot, I'm going to have to build mine custom, though. But, yeah, I'm definitely looking at that, because especially nylon.
Every time someone says D-bot, I think they say D-bag. This D-bag printer.
It's a T-bag?
I thought it was another kind of D-bot. Yeah, there you go. T-bag.
We're back to conversation.
Yeah.
This thing is almost ready for oh, I gotta get that stupid thermistor out of there.
Yeah,
oh.
So Tony mentioned PETG. I tried printing PETG, and I don't think I had my temps right, and I had stringing. It didn't stick together, so I got to work on my temps.
Temp tower that thing.
Yeah, okay.
PETG, I print PETG for everything on my Prusa. It's super easy to use. It works basically amazingly every time. Like, I've never had a problem with it, other than removing it from the PEI. That's the only issue. But like,
you gotta use glue. You gotta use glue.
Yeah,
I don't. I print PETG right on the PEI sheet.
What is that part? It's green. The green part.
Yeah, it's stringy. I don't know. Yeah, you can see it. They just come. This is the button. Remember, I designed a button and sewed it on. This was my first attempt at a button in PETG, and it failed. So I went back to PLA.
You should do a temp tower. Find the best temp for your PETG.
Yeah.
Do some. There's actually some stringing and oozing calibration tests out there that you can change the temperature based on layer height as well, and you'll be able to dial it in and get rid of that.
Okay.
I clean my PEI sheet, like I clean my bed with this Meguiar's automotive glass cleaner, and I mean I don't have adhesion issues, and I don't have problems getting PEI off the bed. So I printed everything on that AMA is PETG Hatchbox, and I've had no problems getting it off.
I just mixed 70% isopropanol alcohol with water into a regular spray bottle, and that's what I use to clean all my beds now. So it's not full alcohol. It's more of a diluted alcohol solution So it helps clean off the oil and stuff like that, but it doesn't give it the full strength if I did a full alcohol wipe down.
Yeah, PETG with support material does work pretty well with the Prusa Mark II with the simplified 3D profile using the PET section of it. It's worked pretty good for me.
So right out of the box using the default.
Yeah, the simplified 3D profile. I do increase the retraction over what it has, and that gets rid of my stringing. But support material removes pretty easily. The parts turn out really clean, very little ringing. And I'm using inland PETG.
I
All
love
the colors,
inland
actually.
PLA.
Yeah, I've used their
Inland's-
PETGs.
Inland's pretty dang good filament. I'm just gonna say that, right?
I mean,
I think we can all kind of
$15.
Do what?
I also try to support other ones.
Yeah, but I've been using ZYL Tech filament here recently, and I gotta say it gives Inland a run for the money. They're both in the same kind of weight class when it comes to price point, but I have like so far the ZYL Tech has been printing extraordinarily better than the Inland, and that's something because Inland still prints very well.
Yeah, I printed the Tyrek. I don't know if you saw the
pretty
Tyrek.
consistent between batches.
Yeah.
The
Man,
Tyrek solid, doesn't have any pulls in it when I put a tie on it.
Yeah, I don't like their spools. I like the cardboard spools. For the most part.
You like the cardboard spools?
Yeah.
I don't like cardboard spools. They don't work on rollers.
I'd like there to be a spool standard though, which has still not come about, but we're getting there. We're actually getting more of a standard now because everybody's using the Chinese, black standard ribbed ones. I don't even know what I use, but the width, like if the width was consistent and we could, their spool holders would be a little easier to work with.
They're ribbed for our pleasure.
I knew you're gonna pick up on
conversation.
that. Wait, I'm getting my filament box out.
That's what she said.
Yeah, I have this one under the bed.
I want to salvage
As you notice,
this
I have a
nozzle.
3D printer in my bed. I sleep with my printers. Not weird at all. But yeah, this is the cardboard spools, right?
Yep.
I like them because they're just cardboard.
Yeah.
You put them in the recycling bin. Like you can't really.
Hey,
always...
Joe Mike, it's blue.
And then
What?
Inland has these black ones.
Am I missing something blue?
I believe you missed something blue.
Yes, you did.
Oh yeah, I just got me a new
Beautiful that
spool of that. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah,
That's the high five, right?
I actually
All
haven't printed on it because I clogged my printer. But if I did, I think I'm going to print more on this. I'm going to anneal it though because I want my PLA to be stronger than it has been. And then my favorite, obviously, is the tangled mess of glitter.
More
But, I
bars
end up-
in more places. AT&T.
Yeah, it's the boss. I'll be right back.
Okay. Actually,
Oh,
if
yeah.
you guys have a Daiso that's a Japanese dollar store, they sell these desiccant packs.
Desiccants, yeah.
Yeah, they're $1.50 at Daiso. So
I bought the ones that you use in the gun cabinet that you can put in the oven and recharge.
yeah, those are useful. I was gonna buy those, but they sat on my Amazon wish list for way too long. Okay, so I think it's close to a really long time on air, so I think we should probably go off air pretty soon.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I was thinking about dumping out. I'm a little tired.
yeah, me too. I want to go back to fix my printer.
I say we leave the stream up, but we all go and we just leave Nick to when he comes back. It's just him.
To nobody.
I just kind of want to see what happens.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to nitpick on my spool choices as well. Is that if you don't put the holes for the all the way around the spool holder
Yeah,
so that you can stick the filament in,
Yep.
I don't like that. I think
I
that
agree.
filament clips are great, but then you end up like losing those little filament clips.
Yep.
Yeah, they need to, when they make the spool, they need to just drill a hole like every inch all the way around so that no matter where it runs out.
Yeah.
'Cause, like I'm a little bit of a filament Nazi. Like if I have to like have 6 extra inches that I have to cut off, I'm like, oh, that sucks. I'm wasting 6 inches.
Or the end of the
That's
PLA
what she
just.
said.
But yeah, if the end of it just breaks off, like the PLA just breaks off, that happens a lot of my spools because of the moisture. I guess.
Bend it through there. You can't get it
Yeah,
back out.
and it just snaps out. You're like, well, I got a clean end, I guess. So.
All right. Well, I'm gonna bail, guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna go off air. So, thanks everybody in the chat that's been chatting and asking us questions.
Thanks
and joining
everybody.
us. I'm Mitch 3D. Maybe subscribe, maybe not. Doesn't matter.
I'm subscribed.
Okay.
And I like this video.
Did you say you're subscribed or unsubscribed?
Yeah, probably after our talks, I'm sure.
Yeah. So thanks everyone. I'll tweet out my video that I would like everybody to comment on. You guys should all do the same.
Yeah, you got me on Twitter, right?
Just make it a habit to thumbs up and comment on everyone's video, period.
Yep.
So
it'll help everybody out. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Cool. See ya. And we're just going to stop broadcasting.
All right, bye.